Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C of Iroko Critic. I hope you're doing well. We have an interesting podcast for you today because to make up for last week's shortest podcast episode, we're bringing you one of the longest ones just to balance things out. This is a lengthy conversation, but there's a lot of pushback, which I think people enjoy. There's a considerable amount of time dedicated to that one. But yes, so yeah, I'm just going to keep this introduction short because you have a lot of listening to get to. So I'm going to leave you to it. And I hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Jagun Jagun. All right. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We do discuss Nollywood movies every Sunday, 6 p.m. WAP. We are going to be discussing Jagun Jagun today, and we'll talk about the things we like, the good. We'll talk about things we don't like, the bad, and we'll do pushback if people have things they want to argue about, and then we'll do a summary. And oh my god, look at Vanessa just joined. Not first.
Hi, Tony. Welcome.
Not first. All right.
You see, that's where they will
Not
see
first.
you. That's where they will see you. Instead of you to say, "Oh, Vanessa, it's so nice to see you. Vanessa, I missed you." You honest. Then he's Vanessa joined not first. What's that? So don't you enjoy it when every time on the podcast you first say Vanessa? You don't like it.
Is
You don't like it.
it's
You're a
variety. As a
hater. You're a
non-football,
hater.
we
My
like a
Twinnie. Don't
variety.
mind this man that
Yes,
distracted me from you. My Twinnie, the love of my life. Eh?
she's unavailable. Anyway,
Wow.
we have a space. Have a space to get to. Thanks, Oyinkans, for coming straight up on time. And you are rewarded for your great punctuality. Tell us the things you like about Jagun Jagun.
First of all, don't use me as a tool for your war, okay?
Wow,
I'm
jeez.
just-
Okay.
First of all, I am glad that this is. I'm always happy every week, but I am extra happy this week because this is a very rich, like, analysis material movie. Like, it's very rich. You can get it from so many parts. But what I like about the movie, so let's start. Costuming, yeah, I have qualms in all the goods I'm gonna say, but this is like for goods. The costuming, the some things they were beautiful. There were some very beautiful like outfits there, and it was nice. It was nice. They really did. I could see the work that they put into it, and I enjoyed it, and it was nice. I especially like the fact that to help us know what army is what army, they kind of gave them different color palette, so I can know that this is the Jago Jago army and this is the other people's army. So I kind of that one. I thank God they did that one. I was like, oh, that's not right. The music, first of all, what very very good. Also I want to give a shout out to the work translating and also the dubbing work that they did because translating is not easy. They kind of didn't translate everything, but translating is not easy, and like it takes a lot of work, and even the dubbing too. Those things take a lot of work, so I appreciate it. I watched it in Yoruba, so before everybody think I watched it in Yoruba, I just wanted to see how the other dubbing was. So appreciate it. I think the cinematography was good too. Do I have qualms in some of the shots that they chose? Sure, but I think it was good, and I think it served the material well. Better than most other Nigerian. This is better than the cinematography, yeah, and the shots chosen is better than what's the last one? Ajekun his last movie, King of Thieves. I think the acting in it is also very good. Latif, thank you. The what else can you expect? It's really good acting. and they gave, and Latif gave 100%. Femi Adebayo was definitely what's it called, menacing. He didn't have to say a lot of things, but I knew what it was thinking. So that was nice. Generally, it was an entertaining movie. This is better than Woman King because it makes sense culturally. I'm so sorry. I always do love Woman King because that movie culturally just didn't make any sense to me, and I was just like, oh, well, what are you doing? But it's understandable. It's an American production. I should not go and add on it. Um, the I like it. This is also an epic, by the way. Like, it's an epic, and it kind of reminds me of like the Iliad, and it's just an epic. It's mythology, and it does it. And I think, like, because epics definitely involves many characters and many kind of like sociological kind of characters that are thrown to the time and period that they are in, and things they have to deal with, things bigger than themselves, bigger than that. So I thought how the writer was able to sort of, what's it called, weave in all the different characters and kind of their motivations and their things was serviceable. It was really, I thought it was above average. I thought the person was at least in control of it. Do I have qualms with some of the decisions? Sure. But I thought like the writer was in control of it, because it could have easily more run away from the writer's hand than it did. I It's also show and tell. Okay, I wrote show and tell here. What I mean is, like, it depends on your definition of show and tell. I think the story definitely does more showing, because we have a lot of flashback that shows the thing that they want us to know, rather than like telling us in dialogue. So I don't know. Some people don't necessarily like to be told in dialogue. So I thought maybe it did well in that way. People may not like it. People may actually think that's still telling, but I thought that's better than some of the ones that we've been seeing that more tell us the plots, the important plot points through dialogue, rather than showing what it is, what those important plot points are. And I think this movie does that more than the other ones. Um, Generally, I think the story was good, and I think, like, as a fantasy, this movie was definitely more of a fantasy than was Kunle's last movie, Anikula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. This one was definitely more of a fantasy and epic fantasy, and I think that this is a good thing that this thing is coming back more into Nollywood. I kind of want it to happen in more different aspects. I don't want to, because I remember back in the day there was a lot of epic fantasy set in the 18th century. Hold on, it is 18th century, right? 18, wait, no, 19th century. If it's 1800s, it's the 19th century, set in the 19th century. Um, I kind of want that not only just to be Yoruba, to be Igbo, to be all this, or to have ones that are like set in maybe Yoruba or Igbo land, but it's in English really. And I kind of want more of this to happen. Um, the production value of this is pretty good. And I think as like a movie, it will be entertaining to foreigners. And I think one of the reasons why is because this movie knows its primary audience is Nigerian, and it's not, what am I going to say? It's not making excuses. It's not like, oh, I want to attract it. It will attract international viewers, but it knows its primary audience is like Nigerian, and it's not doing stupid shit that doesn't make any sense, like in a Nigerian concept, in a and it's stuck within Nollywood's own history and movie and sense of filmmaking and all that stuff, and like even it's also stuck within the Yoruba sort of tradition of theater and all that, and also the Yoruba in this movie, underst awesome, so awesome that I also needed subtitles. I expect it in an epic movie. I expect it in an epic Yoruba movie that I will need subtitles to. But like, um, just wonderful. The poetry, the delivery of the Yoruba. Sometimes it was just like, oh, It's nice. So yeah, as a epic fantasy movie, I think this entertaining movie. I think this is up there. Like I'm not gonna say it's like the most some cool movie that ever will exist, but I think this is up there. I think the production, everything. I think this is up there. This is generally entertaining. This is generally like good. This is generally a movie that maybe somebody can watch more than once and just enjoy and there's some like cool action or some very cool like visuals in it and atmosphere. I will end now before somebody comes to tell me that I should stop talking. I can hear your voice. So bye bye.
All right. No,
Thanks, Anchor.
thanks, Anchor. Yeah. So Yoruba was certainly very certainly a lot of proverbs thrown around. It was. I'm not surprised. Uh, a lot of people might have heard the subtitles on this one. It sounded like what some of the things were saying went deep. I'm still looking for who shaped the goat, but here we go. There we are. All right, Vanessa. Please tell us some things you enjoyed about Jagun Jagun.
Okay. I just want to say, Omoduha. Yoruba to the world. I just I just want to say this now in advance of later. Um so everybody, let's all be guided. But the things I liked about Jagu Jagu. So the opening shots, I actually have my laptop open here because I'm trying to remember because I don't want to watch this film twice, but I'm gonna watch it while I do this. So the opening shots, like that, I know drone shots in Nollywood have been bastardized, but I actually quite enjoyed the opening shots of the forests and the hills. I thought it was very beautiful. So I liked seeing that. I also liked a lot of the set pieces in this, like Ogundiji's castle, or what do they call those things for war people? Whatever his homestead, whatever it is. I really liked how that looked because in the beginning there's this shot of his soldiers riding into his homestead and him walking in, um and the set pieces just looked really beautiful, and even like that robe that he had on, like the black robe that's literally just like flowing through, really beautiful. And in that particular scene there's like a king there and the admiration in his eyes, it's I really liked that scene. I also like I said, I enjoyed a lot of the set pieces. I agree with Oyuko. Maybe except for like their war garments, the rest of the fashion in this, like the rest of the costuming choices, I really enjoyed. Um, I liked all the adire and stuff that the villagers were wearing. I liked the hair and makeup in this as well to a large extent. Um, what else did I really like? Oh, I liked how a lot of the names had to do with war. And I don't mean like, I mean the names of like the characters. You know, Ogundiji, there's literally Ogun in his name, like war is literally in his name. His daughter was Iroyin Ogun Okitan. The news of war does not end, and I really like I really liked that name. It was the first time I'd ever heard a Kiton with that. Like most of the time is Anoluakiton or something very nice. And I like the fact that this, like a lot of the names in this had to do with war. The guy, Botija is the same thing. It's like here of a fight. That's that's like kind of what his name means. I just like that a lot of the names of like the people in this had to do with war. It was very in keeping with like the theme of this film being about war and fighting and all of that. So I enjoyed that as well. I mean, this wasn't random jazz, but I actually quite liked it's like jazz is very much a hallmark of a lot of like Yoruba filmmaking, and the fact that the war cry for Ogundiji's army was they use charms to fight. It's such a war cry. Like my Yoruba isn't very good, so I'm not going to twist my tongue to say the war cry. Because literally, when I was watching it, I was like, "Hey, non-speaking Yoruba people will have it in for them today with Ogun and Ogun." I was like, because they're literally the same. They're literally spelled the same way. Only the inflections are different. So I was like, "No, Yoruba speaking people are gonna have an issue with jazz and war, like charm and war would be. But I liked that as well. I agree. A lot of the dialogue is very poetic, but then again, Yoruba is very poetic in the way it uses proverbs. So I enjoyed that as well. Um, I enjoyed some of the acting in very specific places. Latif Adedimeji is very obviously one of our most underrated talents, in my opinion. I think he's wasted a lot when Nollywood uses him for comedy, even though I'm sure he's a good comedic actor in some ways. But he's really good as a dramatic actor, and I liked him in a couple scenes, in a number of scenes. He obviously he takes pride in his craft, so I enjoyed seeing him in a number of scenes. I enjoyed seeing like your Yoruba actors. I know we say all the time like we love seeing the veterans, but what's the point of having like these big budget Yoruba films if you don't see the Yoruba veterans in them? It was great to see Fetia Balogun do a dramatic scene, especially at the end where she accosts Ugundiji for, having a child outside of their marriage after they made the agreement that they would remain barren for his optimum power. But I enjoyed seeing her in that scene because for much of it, she'd pretty much been in the background and not said a lot. The only other scene where she probably had anything to do was when she was accosted and she was chopping bullets and swallowing them, spitting them back out. Did I get interrupted? Yeah,
Just a little
a
bit,
call
but
came in, that's why. But yeah, I liked that as well. I liked the idea that there was like this soldier training school and people showed up to come and fight, and that there were people whose family members sent them, whose kingdom sent them to come and fight for them and like learn how to protect them. Um, yeah, there's plot holes with that, but I like the fact that there was like this war school of sorts. Um, I guess there was a cameo from Mr. Macaroni. Love to see him in a lot of these like Yoruba. He was epics. He was in. I think he was in what's it called? He was in Anikulapo, wasn't he? I don't know if he was in Ageshin Kole, but he's in this as well. It's nice to see. I'm very happy for Femi Adebayo and the fact that he continues to make these films and he takes them. He takes this as like his thing, making Yoruba cinema. So love that for Femi Adebayo. What else did I really like in this? Yeah, a lot of the music was nice. I guess there was like a particular war cry, so I like that as well. Um, what else did I like? Oh, I liked a number of the fight scenes, I will say. Like um the initial one actually, and I think it was Mr. Macaroni. Which one? Sorry, there's someone's mic that's on. Um I think it was the initial scene where they were all coming in, like the new prospects were coming into the thing, and I was Mr. Macaroni as well. And I was quite impressed, I won't lie, because there was a guy who basically tried to fake his way into the camp, and apparently was sent from enemy grounds, and there was like a little fight with Mr. Macaroni, and I liked that fight sequence. I won't lie, like a number of the fight sequences in this were obviously choreographed, um, and they weren't left to the wind, and to a large extent they were executed. So I genuinely enjoyed the fact that we could see that there was care with like the fight sequences. And I kind of liked some of how like the fight sequences were shot. Like it wasn't like extremely necessary to see close-up shots of like people, because Nollywood does this thing where like there are fight scenes and like we can see that like the effects are horrible because you're bringing the camera like 2 inches from from the people. So I liked how a lot of the fight scenes were shot. It was and the incorporating of like their jazz and like their charms in the fight scenes as well. I liked that. I liked how it was executed. Um, what else did I like? What else did I like? Oh, I liked the babe who played Iroyo Gukito. I don't know if I'm sure I've seen her somewhere once, but I don't know if I've seen her more than once in a film before. And I enjoyed her performance with I liked her in scenes with Latif. They definitely fed off of each other. Um the chemistry, I genuinely immediately from the minute she came and she asked who told people that they should not eat their food or return the food, I was like, yeah, these people are gonna get down. um and I liked and I liked that that was the case. Was like she was very much the aggressor in this, and I enjoyed seeing that as well. What else did I like?
You didn't like anything
Keep quiet.
else.
What do you know? You can't tell me to keep quiet. But yeah, if I remember something else, I'll say it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. If you do want your thoughts shared with us in terms of what you liked, but you don't want to speak, please do comment on the space. Don't need to use hashtag Nollywood Film Club.
Why do you sound like a flight attendant? Or like the captain?
I am the captain. Excuse me, please let me just read this thing. Runto says, one thing I loved was the scale of it all, production, casting, and all. I've been saying Yoruba Nollywood would grow better if the industry collaborated more on projects rather than make smaller ones with their cliques. Okay, thanks. And then this looks like this was in response to something Incan said. This is better than Woman King. Please don't let us surpass ourselves. All right, okay. Orinta also says the ancient architecture was refreshing to see. Finally, Nollywood is validating the fact that the ancestors were a civilized people. This movie is the first Yoruba movie not made by Kunle I've seen that actually seems to appreciate the power of cinematography when it comes to storytelling. Okay. One thing I loved was this.
No,
Oh yeah,
you've
I've
read
already
that.
read that. Okay, cool.
Captain.
All right. Timmy, please tell us some things you liked about Jagun Jagun.
Hello. Okay, what did I like about Jagun Jagun? The film was interesting, and I think it was engaging enough from the beginning till the end. When the film started with the establishing shots, I was in awe. I was in love because the establishing shots in this film, they were beautiful. You could see my favorite establishing shots was I've forgotten the name of the kingdom, but there was this landscape of this flat land, and you could see the river, and that was just a very beautiful shot. And there were lots of other shots like that that I really loved. Like I said, I loved the landscape and scenery in this film. I feel like it was able to capture the geography of southwestern Nigeria in a way that made sense because southwestern Nigeria has it has its flatlands and it also has its hilly areas, and we're able to see um, you know these places in the film. I would also say that I am really, 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 really proud of this production. And why am I proud of the production? A lot of things, from the costume to the set design to the music. Everything was just hitting. Everything was it was beautiful. Um, I like the fact that I wasn't questioning myself at the end of the film that okay, what happened? I wasn't questioning the plot because the plot made sense from beginning to end. Although I do have issues with the plot, but there weren't like will I say gaping holes that plot holes that just made the film not make sense. The plots made sense from beginning to end, and I feel like they were able to tie each like one scene moved to the next scene and it moved to the next scene in a coherent manner, and I really appreciated that about the film. I liked the colors. I really liked the colors in this film. I There was this scene when they were harvesting peppers on the farm, and I was in love with that shot. Even with the way it even started from them picking the peppers from um, they were harvesting the peppers. I was in love with the shot. The greens, the reds, the adires, and the colors in this film, they were beautiful. There was even this scene too where Bukumi was wearing this pink and blue um dress, and oh my god, the way those colors and the colors of the sky and the colors of the people around her, it was just very beautiful to see. Yeah, like I mentioned, I loved the Adure. I loved seeing the Adure in this film. Another thing that I liked was seeing Muyiwa Demola, even though he didn't like really have a lot of um lines or a lot of scenes in the film. I don't know, just seeing him on screen. I know he has done something with is it Ant Hill before? I think it was The Prophetess. But for some weird reason, just seeing him in this movie just made me happy. I really don't know why. The music, the score, the soundtrack, oh, it was wonderful. I have been looking for the soundtrack on Spotify for a while now, and I think they haven't uploaded it yet. But I really, 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 really wish that Ant Hill would upload this on streaming platforms. I would say my favorite part of the score or the music was the scene where we're introduced to Gbotija and Gbotija was skipping and you could hear the flute. I feel it was a very Hollywood tropey type of thing. It felt very Hollywood-ish, but it was translated to the Nigerian audience in a way that was just it was brilliant. The performances, ha, yo, everybody killed it. Every human being in this film killed it. Femi Adebayo, Adedimeji Latifo, Bukumio, Fita Balogun, every single person in this film delivered for their performances. Um, what else? Yeah, okay. Like Vanessa said, I liked the way the names of the characters were related to fighting and war. Same thing she said regarding the Kiton's name. When I heard the full name, I was like, damn, that's actually creative because I didn't expect that that's what the full name was going to be. Um, yeah, another thing I love about this film is the dialogue and how poetic it was. I loved how they used proverbs for majority of the dialogue. There was even this scene where what's his name? Mr. Macaroni was talking to Adedimeji Latif and asking him why he came to the School of Warriors, and he was saying that thing about I don't have charms, but I have war. Something. That particular dialogue, I was like, damn, the person who wrote this line must have been feeling himself when he wrote this. It was like, yeah, I just dropped bars. Um, Baba Ijesha's fighting scene with Macaroni was peak for me. I was shook because I've seen Baba Ijesha in roles where he is a comedian. Only for me to see Baba Ijesha moving, carrying sword like Jackie Chan, like I was like, yo, this is Baba Ijesha. And the way he wielded the weapon, it was like this is not his first time doing this thing. He was so confident. Like see the way he gave that guy the punch, the way he was slashing the sword. I was impressed. I think that was my favorite fighting scene in the film, even though I liked all the fight scenes in this because I think they were well choreographed. But that particular scene was impressive. Um, I loved the royal costumes. I loved how colorful they were. I loved how vibrant they were. And I also loved how like the different kings had different um clothes that they wore, but everything was just looking beautiful. I guess that's what I could say. I also loved the theme that the film was trying to what I say portray. I think there are definitely multiple lessons that one can take from this film. And I think it is something that can be enjoyed by people of different, will I say, demographics.
All right.
Um,
Do you want to see if anything else comes up when other people are saying let's just get through the people who are on stage quickly to me. But it seems like you liked this a lot. If there's any more stuff after everyone speaks, just give me a shout and we'll put you back on.
all right.
All right, thanks Timmy.
Dwayne.
All right, Creative Fingers. Please tell us some of the things you liked.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think everyone has kind of touched on it. The soundtrack was spectacular. I guess it kept us in the mood, kind of filled spaces appropriately. It was just very, very beautiful, really. I actually really got very interested in this film from the trailer. because I kind of saw that it was larger than life, and yeah, they delivered on that. It was really great. The scenery, man, beautiful. Like I can't I can't overemphasize that. The costumes were also very, very colorful. It was like appropriate, it's showing the beauty of the culture. Everything was just elegant, really. The story world, wow, wow, it was amazing, because each village kind of had something special to them. I particularly also loved a village where they were doing this festival, right? Before our guy came to slaughter them, right? With the doves and everything, beautiful, really beautiful. And there are even scenes where the masquerades and everything was just so great for me. I enjoyed the dialogue, and that is really something special because the dialogue kind of kept the film at the top, even when started dragging at the point. The dialogue kind of saved it. I don't know. There's something special about that. The acting performances were, oh my God, legendary, top notch. The characterization. Oh, Ogundiji's performance for me was just. I think it was the show, the whole show. I think the film was his show, and then every other actor too was kind of spectacular. Bogumi, I really loved him. I really loved. In fact, it was just so great. The way he kind of gave his lines and the actions. It was something different. It was refreshing. Really, it was refreshing. The costume. Okay, I already mentioned that. Yeah, I think that's about. So really, at the end of this story was entertaining, and I think it's like one of the best things we've actually put out there. The fight sequences, I mean, I've not seen another fight sequence, that is as good as that. We are gonna get way better, yeah, but this is somewhere to really, really, like progress from. Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Creative Fingers. No, I love for the fight sequences. But yeah, no, that's. I think when I was watching, I was like, oh, I think this is better than Gangs of Lagos, to be honest. Yeah, so there's that. All right, Chinwike.
Oh,
Huh?
we just lost Chinwike actually.
Did I remove him?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just in case. All right. Maya, do you want to say some of? Oh no, sorry. Before Maya was, I think it was a task, right?
No.
I've lost.
I
No,
came
Maya was.
last, so.
Okay. All right, last position. All right, you know your place. All right. Okay, my.
Okay. So as someone who consumes a lot of Yoruba films, the best part about this movie for me was seeing that when you give Yoruba actors good scripts to work with, and when you direct them well, they will deliver. And the case in point for that for me is Itele the Icon, which is the guy who plays Bugumi. Itele in his own right is a well-respected modern Yoruba director, filmmaker, but he hasn't, the stuff that he puts out are like regular Yoruba films, which, lots of plot holes. You can tell that he wants to push the envelope when it comes to story. But the acting and the people, which is a comment that someone has made, the scale of it all, moving beyond your clique. So because he limits his films to his clique, it just doesn't land. But then you see him shine in Bogumi. You see him deliver his lines really well. And I think that is a result of the script and that is a result of the directing. The best parts for me of this film was also the actors. Someone has mentioned Muiwa. Muiwa was great. Muiwa's always been great. The reason Bukumi and Latif have good chemistry is because they've come a long way. If you don't know as well, Bukumi is also a brilliant filmmaker.
I think that some of the unique stories, some of the unique films I have watched that are Yoruba films have been made by Bukumi. She's done series, she's done musicals. Like, she is someone that likes to experiment. I think as far back as 2015, I think even with Gabriela Folaya and stuff, she's done really, really good films. So you could see that relationship she has with Latif play out really well in their scenes together. It was good to see the veterans, very understated yet powerful performances, which I think is another theme in this movie, right? There is nothing that is extravagant. The colors are vibrant, the sound is incredible, but the acting itself is not over the top the way you would normally associate with regular Yoruba films. Even the kind of evil that Ogundiji is understated, it's sort of muted. But when you really think about it, this guy is really evil. You think of the tasks that he comes up with for Botija, and it's like, where do you get these things from? But there is no evil laughter. There is no, bulging of eyeballs or anything that you would associate with a villain. It's just, you just know that this guy is deeply wicked. Colors were great. My favorite shot was when Keaton and Botija were walking in that field where they were discussing his tasks. Yeah, his tasks. Like that shot with the flowers and the vibrant clothes, it was incredible. I'm really curious to see what people do not like about this film, because as someone has mentioned before, this is a very good place to start for Nollywood. Femi Adebayo thought of a lot of things. The fight scenes were well choreographed, and you could tell that they did some things for the camera. You could tell that the cinematographer really takes their craft seriously, and they put some shots in there to be photographed beautifully. Case in point, the guy in the fight where we first see Agemo, the guy who sort of flies with his sword, that was just for the camera. That was just to flex, And there are several shots like that, during the Ocean Festival, that moment of silence before the spear hits the lady carrying the festival for that year, So I think it was a great movie. There are lots to like here. It's a really big improvement from Ageshikole. And Ageshikole wasn't bad in itself, but this is a huge leap from what we've seen. And I think it might be my favorite Nigerian watch so far this year. That's all from me. Thank you for giving me the floor.
All right. Thanks, Maiwa. Omo Dudu, please tell us some of the things you liked.
Okay, hi everyone. What do I like about Jagun Jagun? I think the first thing I like about this movie was that the premise, it was trying to like do something better than the regular epic Yoruba movies we see on Africa Magic and YouTube. It was trying to be better because I like the premise actually, and I like some of the performances. I like Latif Adedimeji is a good actor. He's one of the best actors we have in Yoruba movie. I like this girl's name, Bukumi. I like her performance. Okay, I don't want to say the right. I don't want to say the bad performances now. So, but I like some of the performances. I like Bimbo Ademoye in this one, especially when she came out to like to confront her father. I wasn't expecting her to do very well in an epic movie where she was speaking, but I wasn't expecting her actually. But she did well. What else do I like about this movie? Okay, yes, I like how they referenced some Yoruba cultural festivities. Like I think they did something like the Ojude Oba
where when this guy was doing the villain was doing his festival, they kind of did something like that, and I immediately it came to my mind, this is Ojude Oba, and the Oshun kind of thing where that girl was carrying the calabash on her head. I think I like that. Um, the fight scenes, I like the fight scenes, the action sequences. I mean, I like all that, but I have a reservation about that because that's not how Yoruba people fight. Because since I was a kid and I've been watching epic movies, they don't fight like that. But anyways, I think to make everything sweet. So okay, let me just say something because it's the Jakadi that people will hug themselves and be fighting. That's the kind of fight they do actually. But seeing this one, okay, well, anything to make it, look good. So what else do I like? I like the score, the soundtrack. Some of it, good. Um, what else do I like? I'm trying to remember because I don't think I really like this movie like that. So I'm trying to remember things I liked about it. Um, I like this plot. Okay, I've said it. I like the premise, the plot, what they were trying to do. I could see the
Yeah.
intention. Actually, I think that is all
You
I
did
like.
you just say you could see the intention?
I could see the intention.
That's been banned in film club. Please and thank you.
That's a yellow card.
That's the yellow
If
card.
you get to
Also,
them.
you don't need to force yourself. You've said everything you like. You've said everything you like.
All right. Atas, do you wanna bring it
Anyways,
home?
since you saved the
Well,
best for last, ignoring your earlier comments.
yeah, we are, and I'm the
Ignoring your
last.
all right. So I really like the story that was being told. I think I would like to read it as a novel or even as a play, if that ever does happen. And I'm interested in seeing actually the backbones of the story and this lore without the rest of it. Um, I thought Gundiji and Titan were my faves, acting wise. Ogundiji's fight choreography was probably the only one that seemed somewhat good. And you could tell that he put a lot of practice into making his fight seem a little more fluid. I'm sure they all did, but he's translated on screen. I enjoyed the lore and the folk like the tales being told here as far as this figure that Ogundiji is, this larger than life character, sort of like a human god of war, with his little powers. I love the celebrations and the exposures to the cultures that were being portrayed, whether they're accurate or not to real life. I don't care. I like what was being shown on screen. I like the distinctiveness of the villages, and you can kind of see the time that went into the set and building the worlds and creating some distinctiveness even amongst the people and the villages. I thought there was a cute chemistry between Kitan and Latif. I would have liked to see it explored more, but it was cute. The two major love deaths were very moving. I think my favorite scene is when I've forgotten his name, when his band and taken back to his village and his paramour is sort of like weeping and the whole revenge thing. So that was my favorite. I liked the transition from sort of painting Ogundiji as, I think in the beginning, he appeared to me at least as sort of like a hero and a liberator. And about halfway, you kind of realize that he's actually a demon. I thought the colors were nice and there was a lot of vibrancy. My second favorite scene is Latif's second challenge, I believe, where he goes. Is that his second or his first? I don't know. Where he goes and he has to cause pandemonium at some festival. And I really like the colors there, the white that they were all wearing, the beds, the way the blood comes on her outfit after she's stabbed, and then the whole panic. But yeah, I loved it. I love that part. And I like the plot twist of Kitan being the demon in that way. And even the story of how she got there and how she's trapped there. But that's all.
All right. Thanks. That's a quite
I
a
know.
long list for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
All right. Okay. We'll see what before Starter Studio tells us what they like. Just gonna read some of the comments coming through. Um, our last person, Shagun, has come on. I think we can only take 10 people on, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. I think there's room for one more.
As our last person.
All right. So Tisa says, thanks for telling us what. Oh no, this is thanking Vanessa for explaining what that means. We don't need to read that out.
Why?
Zainab says, just want to
Why?
give a shout to Bogumi and Bimba Kimoye's relationship. It was cute, and I wanted to see more of them. I agree. Bogumi was the best part of this film for me. Brilliant character interpretation. That flick of his pooper. All right. Damola says, I liked the music a lot. I liked the set design, especially Ogundiji's house / palace. I appreciate the ambition and the scale of the whole project. That also, I think I agree with. All right. Starters, Starters Studio, please tell us what you liked about Jagun Jagun.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
It's actually Chimike. I don't know what happened with
Oh,
my other account. Yeah, for some reason I
okay.
just got disconnected from the space and I can't seem to join, so I just had to use another account.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome back. Back again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. So first of all, I think it's the movie was pure entertainment. Like it was a spectacle. It was just brilliant. It was a display of professionals doing what they know how to do best, and I love that in every way, every form. Like once I see someone doing what they are really good at, it's just really nice to see. And then there was the story. Like it had a coherent story. Like there are movies where you watch and then it's like this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense. But this one, it was like from scene to scene, you could see how everything connected. It didn't leave me with any questions. It didn't leave any unanswered questions. Like everything was intentional. It was just a display of intentionality. And then there was the vibrant display of culture. There were lots of memorable characters. It wasn't just you could tell the characters had personality. There was a lot of character development. You could see the characters move from. You could see how they progressed throughout the film. They were properly developed. Then there was the there was the cinematography as well, the colors, like and then for the best part of it all, that twist. In retrospect, you can see the twist coming. When you finish the movie, you can see like it's kind of obvious, but then they get you sucked into the story so much that you don't see it coming. Like you're so invested in the story that you don't even see it coming, and then when it comes, it's like that was. I just wish this was a movie I saw in a cinema, because that was such a cinema moment. Like it was just brilliant. I just loved it. It made you feel, and you felt everything. There were funny moments, like the scene where those senior warriors were rolling on the floor. That was just hilarious. Then there was the part where who shaved the goats. That was just it broke your heart, and then you felt the love as well between our main character. Should I even call him the main character? Because there were a lot of strong shouts for that one. There was the love between Kiton and Botija. Like
Rapture has happened. Starter Studios.
Cherokee.
Yes. Uh,
I already told you guys the best went last, but
Rapture. All right. Shagun's still here. All right. All right. Shagun, do you want to go?
Hi guys. So,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So this was it was a beautiful project. I regret that we didn't get to watch it in a cinema because it's a cinema movie. It's something you should watch on the big screen, on an IMAX screen. In fact, I was impressed with the way they could
with the scale of everything, the aerial shots and the way it just made me feel. It made the whole thing feel grand and epic. I was very proud that it was a Nigerian project. I love the way they did the establishing shots when they were introducing particular kingdoms. You see that these people they've watched Lord of the Rings and a couple of other films that do things like that. It was a very beautiful way to introduce certain scenes. The cinematography work, the actors were phenomenal. But then again, it's a no-brainer because the Yoruba the Yoruba film industry don't joke with this kind of thing. So I'd say this particular project is a case of, whenever Nollywood says it's a budget problem, this particular project was that kind of thing where the Yoruba film industry have been consistent in everything they do. So I mean, give them more money and they will continue to blow your mind. That's how I saw it. All the actors performed well. The extras, the props, the color. Um, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed, and then the music too. Music was good. Sound was good. I don't think there's anything. I was so engrossed in the movie that I had to go back. And I had to go back a second time to now say, okay, let me look for things I can say in the bad section type of thing. That's how the movie was for me. It was good work. Well done to all involved. But like I said earlier, they don't play with they don't play with their kind of projects. They pay attention to so many things, and I wasn't expecting less from it. For me, it just wowed me that okay, they had they had a bigger budget to work with, so they really made good on that, and I'm proud of it. Well done to them. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. All right. I'll show you. All right. When it's time, we will talk. All right. Mr. C, do you want to say some of the things that you liked about?
Yeah. So the actor who played Kiton, I liked her, and I also thought she was very beautiful. Nobody has mentioned beauty in this. Then what else did I like? The festival where they were all in white. I liked how it looked. I thought that looked very nice, and all her acting, the babe that was hi. Then I like and this is not particular to this movie. It's like a Yoruba film thing, but it was in this movie, and I like the poetry of the speaking, the dramatics, the speaking in proverbs. You're saying one you're trying to convey one idea, right? One sentence, and you're saying 17 different proverbs before you say it. And I thought that was very poetic, and I really enjoyed that. Okay, Mr. C, what did you like about this film?
Have you finished?
I'm done.
Okay. Before let me read some of the tweets that have come through. So Damas, I read this one. Okay. Tito says no one has mentioned the social message in the final act during Adimeji's monologue about how the ruling class uses the common man as pawns to war against each other while their own kids are tucked away abroad in society.
That's
Yeah.
so you
Um, we'll get to that in a bit, but I think I heard Tito say he liked the theme. I don't know whether that's what he meant, but maybe that's as close as we've come. Or maybe people don't like it. I don't know. I liked Kiton's character. Beautiful, and he says, I liked Kiton's character and how she embodied it. My favorite scene was the massacre scene with the God of Wealth, where everyone wore white. That scene was really intense. Everybody knows that if you wear white in Nollywood, shit's about to go down. You're not as
There will be blood.
as cheeky from Gangs of Lagos. All right, okay. So the things that I liked, I have here the sex scene. um, there is a sex scene in this.
Yeah, the bush.
Is literally sex in bush, which honestly is
Classic.
a classic, and I liked that. again, like I think one of the things some people complain about Nicolas was like showing nudity didn't quite fit with everything else. And yeah, this was not that not like can't be done, but like I thought this was, you know, felt more like old Nollywood. Is like when they start doing and the camera just slowly moves away, like, hey, you're not supposed to see this. In Nollywood, they used to be like, they'll move to their legs and it's like, all right, this is the part you're allowed to see, or they'll just move to the ground where their clothes have been dropped. I do like that. And that part, I think some people have mentioned the fighting scenes. I thought, like, I think I have it here as I thought the fighting scenes were some of the best we've seen. It's not perfect by any chance, but there were things that were done with the camera that came off, and it was okay. There are some special effects that I liked. The water, the explosion in the water before Latif comes out of the coffin, that looked like a real explosion, and that was cool to see. Um, the tree falling down was parts of it was nice. Parts of it was nice. The tree falling down. Um, I actually thought Latif was was generally solid. He has good parts here and there. I thought Femi Adebayo's part. I thought also stuff Femi Adebayo. He has presence. He has presence. He just commands a scene when he's generally around. What else do I have? The romance I have on here. I It's nice to see. Um, it's nice to see on Nollywood screen a Nigerian man falling for a wicked woman, showing that Nigerian men do like that hint of wickedness. Apparently,
Definitely.
uh, I say nothing. But yeah, no, it was. I think they had chemistry. And could. I have other issues with that partnership, but like I thought they did well. All right, okay, let's go to the parts we don't like. And some people, I guess, really enjoyed this as to might not have any parts, but all right, this is the part where some people are going to. Anika, okay, Anika, you're here. All right, please go on. Anika, are you there? All right, if Anika's not there, Vanessa, do you want to start?
Sure, I was hoping there would be a buffer with, with Oyinkan, but I guess I am not afforded that luxury. Again, I would just like to reiterate about Odua ni mi o, Yoruba to the world. Yeah, now that we've gotten that out of the way, yeah. Ah, when the trailer for this came out, I was excited. The way it was cut, I was like, okay, this looks great. And I guess, yes, visually, it looks beautiful. But yeah, that's where it stopped for me. I was 1 hour and some odd minutes into this film before the bare bones of a story and a plot began to surface. For the hour and how many minutes I was into this film, I was confused as to what exactly it was I was watching, what the point of this was intended to be, and why it was made. Um, and even when the story began to surface, one, I was already checked out, so it didn't really matter as much to me. But even when it did, it genuinely felt like this was a collection of short stories. This is coming from someone who reads. And it genuinely just, this 2 hour, 30 something ish minutes, if not more, film felt like a collection of short stories that were tied together by a very loose thread. And that very loose thread is Ogundiji. That was what this film felt like. And especially when we went into all these other villages. And that's why I said the only thread that connects them is Ogundiji, because they were probably all affected by him at some point in his Jagun Jagun ways. But a lot of these other stories just felt very standalone. And I was confused as to why I was seeing these scenes. And I mean, they did try to do a wrap up in a pretty little bow, and you're like, oh yeah, there's connections to this and connections to that. But no, like, it didn't feel coherent. I'm sorry. People are saying there's a coherent story. There was a wonderful plot, and I'm confused as to what I was watching and what everybody else was watching, because it definitely didn't feel like that. And while Femi Adebayo has presence, and I agree, I love Femi Adebayo to bits, this was not a performance for me. I genuinely did not feel anything from Femi Adebayo. And especially for the Jagun Jagun of a Jagun Jagun. Èmi ò rí bàbá yìí jagun. Ogundiji ò jagun o. He only had about maybe 3 or so fight scenes in this. And I'm like, is this not the man that is supposed to instill fear in the hearts of many? Mi ò rí jagun. Mo kàn rí kó ń twitchy. Femi Adebayo was twitching. A quite inconsistent twitch. And somebody has pointed out to me that twitches are inconsistent, so fairs. But like, still, the inconsistency of the twitch was quite annoying to me, because are you twitching on the left side or on the right side? Like I like to say, peace once I made fool. Because I was like, what exactly is this? I will say though, there was one scene where I enjoyed Femi Adebayo, and I think he was alone. It was very much a monologue, and I think it was with regards to, it had something to do with Botija, and he was angry about Botija. I think it was after that man had told him he should get rid of Botija or something, and it was in his palace, or maybe it was with Fetia, and he said he did this monologue, and it was the final line he said or something, and I think it has something to do with how Botija will see something in his house. I can't remember I'm trying to find the scene on my laptop now, and I can't find it, because what that was the scene. I was like, oh, there's Femi Adebayo. Okay, that was the one scene. But after that, I'm so sorry, it was not giving, and there were a lot of unnecessary people in this. I love the Yoruba veterans to bits, but there were a lot of people in this. I was like, what exactly is your point? Why are you here? What is the point of putting this man through 3 stages? Because except for the fact that you have a personal vendetta against this young man, I'm not confused. I'm very confused as to what's going on. So all these people that came to his Jagun Jagun school, they just came to die. Kini point Ori Jagun that they came to learn. People that they say they want to go back to their family. How many years is the apprenticeship? After they've apprenticeship, they will go back home. Abi they are sending their dead bodies to their family members. Ni. Abi he's using them as members of his army. Ni. Abi what are we saying in this? Like, and I'm sorry, while there was a monologue at the end and it all seems to make it seem like it's a commentary on societal menene, it just felt like an add-on. It felt very much like an add-on. Like, kakon, I the lesson. Yoruba film is not complete without lesson. Kakon, feel lesson here. Kakon, put here at the end. Why? Why? I'm so sorry. The story in this was non-existent. The minute anything came for me was once, and I was you guys are saying, I know I'm rambling, but I had a train of thoughts, but I just got really upset. People were talking about how there was character development and how things moved from scene to scene and it was flowing and it made sense. And I'm sorry, how did we go from Ogundiji feeling slighted that Gbogumi did not want to go and fight war for him, to Gbogumi automatically adopting Botija as his son? I was very confused as to the timeline of that, like, because he literally just met him and said, oh, you're the one who protected the queen from the assassins. Okay. And I was like, okay. And then before you know it, they're having lunch together, and then before you know it, he's call me father. How? Like, your conquer and things fall apart. I, I'm I, I was like, how and why? And then it became this thing. It's like, okay, so if Ogundiji was affronted by Bogumi refusing to go and fight this war, on his behalf, and so he was like, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. That's fine, but that was not his intention. His intention was to take out this guy. And I'm sorry, yes, we love a hero who is gonna come through by at all costs, but my guy's power is only talking to wood, to Iggy, to a tree. Yet here is Bogumi, who you people are saying is the fiercest. His heart is as strong as Stonehenge. He war is no. He say he's a demonic. That Baba that was talking to me, they call him, say he's a demonic human that fights with spear. Even him was telling but he was telling pé òun lóògùn. He has jazz. Pé he have jazz. Why are in the fight out and we didn't see the jazz, no. That fight scene was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, it was beautiful. Bogumi, the actor who played Bogumi, fantastic. I enjoyed him. But why? My thing is, a lot of this, I'm sorry, a lot of it I was asking, why are we doing this? Why is this important? Why is this story important? What exactly is the story? What are we telling? The film says Jagun Jagun the warrior. Who is the warrior in this case? Are we saying Botija is the warrior? Or is Bogumi the warrior? Or is Ogundiji the warrior? Or is Agemo, our poor child who was enslaved and forced to become a killing machine, the warrior? Who is the or is everybody the warrior? Everybody the warrior and me. Why was this story told? And I'm all for telling stories for the sake of telling stories. I applaud people who make films for the sake of making films. And yes, films should be made because they want to be made. But it definitely did not facilitate my enjoyment of this. I sought enjoyment in looking at wonderful fabrics and great gowns and beautiful gowns. But the story did not facilitate my enjoyment. And aside from the story, before it seems like I'm beating a dead horse, let's talk VFX. While Nia Kumola, I am going to be calling names. I'm at this point with Nollywood where I'm not going to be beating around the bush. And I don't have any affiliation with Nollywood. You people know keep my career, so I don't have an issue with calling people's names. While Nia Komolayo and the Ingblood people have, I guess, gained and gleaned some learnings from Agesh Nkole, the VFX in this was absurd. And the reason why it stood out to me, it was because this film obviously takes itself way more seriously than Agesh Nkole did. We could say Agesh Nkole was camp, and the snakes coming out of wherever the snakes came out from was funny. That was fine. But this obviously takes itself seriously, in the way it's shot, in the scale of it as a whole. This obviously takes itself seriously as a work of art. The VFX obviously wasn't taking itself seriously. I'm sorry. While some bits of the tree falling was fine, that tree rising up, the tree going back up, he didn't serious. So when he was doing his hand, why? Oh, actually, there's something in the scene that I quite liked. I did the Major Latif's muscles were rippling. I was quite I'm gonna have to do this, guys. I was quite pleased with how his muscles were rippling while he was trying to lift the tree. I was like, I didn't imagine you work out for this role. Quite nice. But the tree didn't move. Oh, they just literally, I'm sorry, is it me or did it feel like they literally just reversed the clip of the tree falling down for the tree, right? Okay. So I'm not stupid and I'm not a hater because I watched that. I rewound it. I was like, wait, they just literally just reversed that clip
I have to be honest with you. If you write and pause where he just walks past it and you're waiting
to
for
fall
it
back
to
again.
fall back, it's the frame rate it's frozen at is still
Yeah,
shaking in the
yeah.
frame rate, right? So it's still blurry, and I was
Yeah,
like, all right,
yeah. I was like, you guys just reversed this clip, and I'm sorry that you guys just half-assed that. I'm so sorry. There were some bits of VFX that were like, okay, fine, like the explosion that you said in the water. While a lot of that water scene was quite bad, especially in the coffin, I was like, what is going on? But the explosion when the coffin comes out from the underneath, I liked that as well. It felt like a real explosion, like the ripples in the water was great. One of the first scene, or Abby, when I guess you call it cuts off sorry, Ogundiji cuts off Odunlade's hand. The way that hand was cut off, money, how How? What is how they cut the hand? And it did not even 1 second did not pass. Fly have come. Is that how fly used to come and perch on hand when he's first cut, when the blood is still spotting out like a tap? Is that how fly? Maybe me. I've not caught animal before. I've not killed cow. I've not killed goat. I've not killed chicken. But that is how the fly used to come 2 seconds. Because I was quite surprised. They immediately come day or 1 year fly have come. Uh-uh. I was like the way the blood is just spotting out, spotting out. Haba. One can say that's not how they do things. Or is it the scene in the throne room when he sent those people on an errand that they didn't go and they were beating his armies behind, and there was that sand thing that was making him images. Abi was watching film with the sand particles. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't great. Like, it's not bad, but it wasn't great either. Um, yeah, the VFX wasn't great. I'm sure Nia Kumalayo and Inkblot and their VFX department are gleaning learnings from all their tries. So I guess I have to be supporting Nollywood and tell them, Kokure, they should well done. Next time will be better. But for a film that took itself as seriously as this did, the VFX wasn't great. Yeah, I'm sorry. This film lost me. I genuinely was checked out because I tried. I was excited for this. I wanted to go into this and immediately jump into a story. I wanted for there to be relevance, and it just didn't feel like anything. And a lot of the things that could have made this a story were reserved for flashbacks at the end. And it felt really upsetting to me. Like, it felt like halfway through the film, then you guys start giving us flashbacks. You give us flashbacks into how Latif Botija's father was killed and like he got hidden in a tree, and then we find out later it was very obvious that was going to be the case, because who else is fighting war for fighting sake? That it was Ogundiji that killed his father. Fine, but then you do this. You do that sake for the reveal of finding out his adopted child. But a lot of these flashbacks could have been done to give this story meat from the very beginning. I'm sorry. It felt very scanty until the very end of this film. And I know we like to say that Nollywood has a third act problem, but it seems like Nollywood has a first act, second act, third act problem as a whole. Because if you're doing establishing shots for village, then do establishing stories and establishing scenes for your characters. Let us know who these people are. Actually establish who these people are so that we can actually form an attachment to us. Establishing shots for villages are great, but I would actually like to care about the people who I'm watching, and I didn't care about any of them.
All right. Jeez. All right.
Thank you, Vanessa.
I can't believe I didn't cut you off there.
Wonder
But
why.
thank you. Thanks. All right. Timmy, please tell some of the things you don't like, and I imagine some of the messages, comments are coming. I'll be reading them in a bit. But Timmy, please tell us some of the things you enjoy about Jagun Jagun.
Okay, so first of all, I found the film boring, for the most part at the beginning. The first 20, 30 minutes or so was very uninteresting because, so when the film came out on, was it Thursday or so? I was waiting for it to come out. That's how I started watching it. And after the first 20 to 30 minutes, and I saw that nothing was really happening. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, and I had to watch the film the next day. But yeah, basically, I found the first minutes of the film uninteresting. What else did I not like? So I know that I said like I liked the colors in this film, but I just wish I don't know if this film was color graded. I don't think it was, but I wish it was because for a film that is this serious, I kind of wish that the colors were a little bit more intense. The lighting too in some scenes just it didn't really give the vibe that I think the film was supposed to give. Um, yeah. I also didn't like the way the film ended because it made it seem like Ogundiji was the only bad person in this film, when the other kings in the film were quite just as bad, if not worse. Ogundiji didn't act alone, so like, why didn't the other kings suffer for their actions as well. I wish the film went in a direction that exposed the other kings and not just Ogundiji. Yeah, I know he's a terrible person and he should suffer for his actions and all of that, but we literally saw these kings bring him up. They are literally the reason he exists. They gave him the power that he has now. So why didn't they suffer at the end too? Another thing that I didn't like was, why was Botija the only person with superpowers? I get that he comes from a family of lumberjacks. I get got how he gets his powers. I mean, where he got his powers from. But why was it only the important characters in this film that had powers? What if people from other families had powers? What if the people from the family that worships, I don't know, when I say Oshun, was able to talk to water, or the family of farmers were able to talk to the ground, or the family of iron benders, I be iron smith or whatever. What if they were able to talk to metal? So yeah, I didn't like how Botija was the only person in this film that had superpowers, because it just makes it seem like the film had already given him plot armor right from the beginning of the film. They had already given him this plot armor, and they were like, okay, we are going to make him pass through so and so, just so that that plot armor is going to save him. And yeah, I did like how he was the only one with superpowers. Another thing that I don't understand is the school of warriors, Kini Kini, that they say that they are doing. Because from what I could tell in the film, Ogundiji was responsible for all the wars and the fights and the battles in the other kingdoms. So it now makes me ask, if Ogundiji is responsible for these fights, why exactly are you now sending people to him to go and learn how to fight from him? I didn't understand that. The whole Ogundiji being threatened by, or because Kileruko Botija was able to throw arrow through Seku King. Okay, that particular scene, yeah, I get what they were trying to do, but I just wish that, okay, they wanted to show that Botija is this next big thing, this next talented human being that everybody is going to love and like and all, but is it really the throwing arrow thing? I don't know. They could have used something else. Maybe what if they had brought Agemo now and they had said, okay, all you warriors fight against Agemo. If Botija won that fight, yeah, I could understand why what's his name? Ogundiji will now be threatened by Botija. But really, girl. Another thing was there are areas I wish this film explored its story, because this film just tells us that okay, his father was killed during a raid. They told him to enter inside tree. This is da da da. That wasn't really enough for me, because I wish the film showed us a little bit more about Botija's life. Um, and the thing is this, bar. I get it that your family was killed during this raid by Ogundiji's people, but I wish we had more scenes of his relationship with his father and him choosing to want to be a warrior. Because at the beginning, when that narrator was saying, Botija, this, da, 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 he's going to Kinikonkonkon school to go and learn how to fight. First of all, that narration, please just take it out of the film because it was annoying as fuck. But the the narration didn't do justice to what I think they wanted to do. And another thing is, I feel like the only reason why I ended up rooting for Botija was not because the story wrote him as this old protagonist that I'm supposed to like. That's not what I think. I think the only reason I was rooting for Botija was because it was played by Adedimeji Lateef. Adedimeji Lateef just has this aura and charisma that will just make you like him in any film. Even if he's playing a bad person, you still like him. Because I remember in Nigeria, is it this in Nigeria Christmas, this Colonel Flyers film, where he was the antagonist, I think. I still liked him. I didn't, there's just I feel like Adedimeji Lateef is just like the perfect person to cast if you are looking for a protagonist, because I think he's very good at eliciting emotions from people without even trying. Um, Now, one thing about this film is that I feel like what I'm just going to use when I say metaphor to describe what I'm trying to say. So what I feel is that this film is like a thread, and you have beads, which are the plot points. that they are trying to put in the film. So, okay, you're trying to put a bead, you're trying to put a bead, but as they're trying to bead that thread, the beads keep on missing the thread. But as you continue watching the film, the beads are entering the thread. And when you're finally done with the film and you say you want to wear the bead around your neck, the thread cuts because the plot devices, the plot points, I mean, when I say the turning points in the plot, they add up together. They add up together in a way that makes sense. But if you carry up that thread and you say you want to look at the whole film from the beginning to end, you see that some things don't make sense. Um, One thing that I don't understand too in this film was how the other kings were able to visit Ogundiji, and how the other kings were related to Ogundiji, how the kings were even related to each other. Because so we say like there are different kingdoms, yeah. So how is it that these kings, these rulers are able to come together with with Ogundiji to watch those his fights with his warriors and stuff? How are they able to? Why are they coming together? Another thing too that I don't understand, and this is where I'm going to blame this on the film's world building, because they just showed us kingdoms, 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 but really, we really don't see how the kingdoms are related. Maybe if they didn't show us like that the kings of these different kingdoms are interacting together, I wouldn't have had a problem with them not showing how the kingdoms are related. But we see these kings coming together, we see them discussing together, but we don't understand how their kingdoms are related. So that also didn't really make sense. Kiton mentioned something about other camps, that the people in the other camp, even them, did not complain about the food. I was thinking that maybe Ogundiji has a different academy in different kingdoms. So I was like confused. Is the School of Warriors a kingdom on its own too? Or is it like the capital city of the other kingdoms? Is it a standalone city? I couldn't understand. Ogundiji, the character of Ogundiji too, I also couldn't understand because he is what I would call a senseless villain. And why I say so is because his actions were senseless and baseless. Why was he raging the wars? I get that he's working for other kings, trying to help other kings, when I say usurp the throne from other people, and maybe they were paying him or something, but what was his gain from everything he was doing? He wanted people to fear him. Okay, sure, but really, is that really what you want to gain? His villainy was senseless, and I just feel like it was just black on black crime because the violence, the villainy in this film, it was baseless. Another thing is Odulade Adekola that they showed at the beginning of the film. I didn't understand what he was doing in the film. Was he a coup plotter? Because I understand maybe what Ademola was talking about, how Ogundiji helped him get the throne from somebody. So what me I was thinking is that maybe Odulade Adekola came to fight against Muyiwa Ademola so that, okay, you took the throne wrongfully, let me take it back from you. Do you get? Another thing is, like
now I'm just surprised how long this list is going for someone who loved this film like this.
it's quite long. I'm not even halfway done. I'm not done.
Now what? Please summarize it. Give us like a couple of minutes because let's
Okay, yeah.
get other people.
I'll try to wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah, okay. So another thing is, do people really think that Ogundiji is a good person? Because like I said, we only see him being responsible for the wars and fights. So why were people going to this guy's school? Is it that they did not know that he's the one that was responsible for all these fights that they see? Because I don't even understand again. It's like this Nigeria versus Niger wahala that is happening now. Let's say Niger has been fighting war with Nigeria, and Nigerians are like, okay, you know what? Yes, let's go to Niger to go and train our army so that we'll learn how to fight against Niger. It does not make sense to me. Another thing is that scene with Baba Ijesha. Why was Baba Ijesha alone in that scene? Do you really want to tell me that this guy just came with a knife, only him, to come and fight against the Ogundiji's army that everybody will I say respect so much? Why was Baba Ijesha alone? Who sent him? Who was he? Another thing I don't understand is where does Bogumi live, and why was Bogumi sent to go and fight the war? Why was he sent to go and fight against his wife's kingdom if the king of the wife's kingdom is friends with Ogundiji? Another thing is, I don't think there are good people in this film because even Adedimeji Lateef, that they say is all self-righteous and oh, he doesn't like cheating, blah blah blah. That first fighting Kenny that he went for. If you are so self-righteous and you're all about equality and fairness and all of this, why will you go and fight a fight that you don't even know what the fight is about? I get it that okay, you're working for Ogundiji, you're probably afraid of him. You have to do what he says, but even you self, you're not as clean as they are presenting you as. You're not so different from the person. Another thing is Agemo's reveal at the end of the film. It was shocking, but it was unsatisfying because I wished the film teased her identity earlier on in the film. Maybe they would have shown us like some relationships between Femi Adebayo and Bukumi Oluwashina's characters. That way, when they finally revealed Agemo as Kiton, I could have been like, oh. But I mean, I liked the plot twist. I liked the reveal. It was just unsatisfying. And I know one thing that also took me out in this film that I'm still trying to wrap my head around is Ogundiji had a child with his daughter. I don't understand. How do we not see a problem with the fact that Ogundiji took someone in, raised that girl to be like his daughter, and you're telling me that same girl had a child for him? What? Why would you put this in a film?
All right.
Why?
Sorry.
Timmy,
Sorry.
Timmy, thank you for mentioning this because
You can mention it as much as you want.
yeah, no. But what this is like, because this is what I thought I heard, right? I thought I read in the first watch. I was like, this is what was said. So I was discussing this with Mr. C this evening, and I was like, she had a child for him. And it's like, what do you mean she had a child for him? She didn't have a child for him. I'm like, let's go back. So we go back, and it doesn't say she had his child. It says something else, like he had a child or something like that.
Is okay, right?
Which is potentially our second notice, because if someone else saw this, then I'm not crazy. Because we also went back to who shaved the goat, and it has been changed to who stripped the goat.
Yes, a bunch of things has been changed, and there's still more mistakes in the subtitles, but that's fine.
Okay, all right. I just want to say that to me. Thank you for validating me.
Okay, so like, what did you feel like? Okay, you felt like you saw. He
saw that she had the child for him. I'm not crazy.
But wait, to be honest, I don't think it's just the subtitles, because even from what she said, I think the translation was correct about her having his child.
Okay, all right. I have to ask everybody
about Kitan, right?
Yeah,
Kitan.
Okay, well, I'm gonna play it right now.
No,
Kitan, because I didn't see that.
Kitan did not have a child for him. She said that when he had his own child, she never. That's what she said in Yoruba too.
Okay.
In everything, when he had his own child.
Yeah,
I think from the movie it's implying that the regent's woman, the queen, was the one who was one that gave birth to a child for him, but not his wife. So no, she did not have a child.
Okay, so when I watched it, it's subtitles I had to see, obviously, and that's what I remember seeing in subtitles, which for me was like, oh my god. And then we went back today, and it was not that in the subtitles. But as it was not only me that saw it, I'm going to stand by. That's what they wrote before.
Okay, all right. Timmy, please wrap up.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up.
Wrap it up, nigga.
So, okay. Another thing that I didn't like in this film was the relationship between Batija and Kitan. I liked the chemistry between the actors, but I feel like the love story wasn't exactly convincing, because we only see them being in love, but we really don't see how they fall in love. Like, I don't know, it just wasn't convincing enough to me that these two people who just met and they just had one conversation here and there, boom, you're already crying because Bugumi is about to kill your boyfriend or something. I didn't really feel all of that. Another thing is the establishing shots, those very beautiful establishing shots that I was talking about. They were not establishing any communities. They were just there for beauty's sake. Another thing is the way Bogumi became friends with Botija. It was just very, very random, out of nowhere. It was very random. It was out of nowhere. Another thing is, if Agemo was
All right.
tired
I mean,
of
this doesn't sound like wrapping up. This sounds like
wait,
just
I
getting on
have
the
two
list.
more points. I have two more points. Two more points. Two more
Bullet
points. Wait.
points.
Yeah,
You have
too
to
much
give them
bullet points.
short and sweet, please.
If Agemo was tired of Ogundiji using her as a war fighting machine, and she had that knife that Fitia used to kill him, why didn't she just kill him since? And another thing is, my last point is that the way they killed Ogundiji felt too easy. For someone who was that powerful, and with the way the film was building everything up, I thought that fight should have lasted like maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes at least. And before I finally say goodbye, I would like to add one good that I forgot to add is that Bukumi Oluwashina is a very, very, very beautiful woman. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I already said that to me, but thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Please, our
Do you
next
remember the
person.
order?
Wait. Our
Wait.
next
I was
person.
not. May I?
Okay, you
One
can
first.
go next, but because please just try to be more try to be concise. I'm
Oh,
trying.
wait. Why are you attacking me? I
It's
understand I
not
Nobody's
deserve
you.
it.
attacking
I
you. This
understand I
was the
deserve
point.
it. I understand I'm not concise, but
Goodness,
hey,
goodness.
I
Don't mind
haven't
that.
stopped yet before
It's
you attack me. Wait until
it's
after
No.
it becomes too
Everybody
much.
needs to be concise.
please
Okay.
everybody.
Oh, everybody. I understand why I was chosen. It's okay. It's okay. I understand why I was chosen. My history doesn't prove I'm concise. Okay. Um, I have a lot of pushback, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to go with the bad. Okay. So let me just take a little bit from Vanessa's bad, where Vanessa was saying, I don't necessarily think it's a bad. I think it's more of a difference of opinion. I don't think it's a bad because I could still see it was still clear to me what it was. But I think maybe like some people might want it to be the way Vanessa said about like the flashbacks that explains everything closer to the end to come back into the beginning so that people can have more connection with the story. But that's that's how they decide to do it creatively. That's how they decide to do it creatively. I could still understand and everything. So that's what I mean. Like the themes of the stories could be a little bit more impactful. I think Vanessa is right in the fact that she said that the ending one of the closer to the ending monologue about youths not fighting each other seems more tacked on, even though like if you look at the themes of the story, they've already set up them fighting each other and all these things already throughout the movie. So it doesn't seem it's not actually tacked on if you look at the something of the story, but yeah, it seems a little bit too some because I don't think they made it as clear, as concise as they should have. So therefore, the impact of it is a little bit more dulled. Maybe what Vanessa was saying about, like maybe they should have done that, could affect the reason why it may not be as impactful as they wish it to be. I still think it's impactful, but it's not as impactful as they wish it to be. Um, Now this is a costuming thing. I could clearly see that the beads on Bukumi Oluwashina's hair are plastic beads. It should be glass beads. We're talking about the 19th century. Now, I know glass beads are expensive for the amount of beads they need to use in this movie, costuming wise. So I would just advise that it seems that they're setting up for a second movie from the way the movie ends. I would advise that the costumers should try to find plastic beads that look like glass beads because it's 19th century. The glass beads are very important in Yoruba kingdoms thing history something. So it was definitely glass beads. Not it shouldn't look very plasticky. It makes it look. It just. Even at the scene too, where she was removing her clothes. I understand the reason why there should have been a black something there. We live in modern times and we don't want to necessarily be seeing naked people up and down. I guess I understand the sort of reason why. I just wish they might have used something that is a little bit more plausible, a fabric that is a little bit more plausible for that period and time. Although throughout the something I've been seeing fabrics that like I'm like, oh, that fabric doesn't necessarily look plausible. But it's okay. Most of the costuming was pretty well done. Um, Cinematography. So this is again maybe I should say is a difference of opinion or I I think that some of like the drone shots, they used a lot of aerial shots, like a little bit too much of aerial shots. There are some times that the drones can come down and get level, eye level, or what's it called, body level shots. Because sometimes in the choreography of the stunts, of the war stunts and everything, there were moments where I'm like, to see the stunts better, to see the performance, of the stunt artist better, it shouldn't have been an aerial shot. So there were choices of where to place the camera and how to do the shot. Should it have been a long shot, wide shot? I thought that better shots and better shots would have been better to convey emotions or make the atmosphere or make us see the actions better. Um, One other sort of more historical criticism of it, um, the I'm not sure whether the swords they look. I'm not. I'm not sure whether they look like the historical swords that the Yoruba kingdoms will use. And also, this is more of like a historical something, but I understand why they did the thing, and it doesn't kill the movie for me. Some of the fight movements and something, it looks more like 300 to me, and the swords that African swords were kind of different from like European swords, and the way they fought with it was a little bit different. But that's something that they should probably go to an historical department and have those people kind of tell them what it is better. Don't just go some random old person. Random old person was not around in the 1900s. Nobody that in the 19th century. Nobody that was around in the 19th century is alive. That's ridiculous. So they should probably go to the historical department to kind of like get people to really show them more of that to make it more authentic, I guess. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then just continue doing what you're doing to make it more entertaining, I guess. Characters are. This is somebody that tweeted that characters are indeed introduced kind of later into the story. I don't think it's necessarily also a bad thing. It's just that people might be used to the idea of like major characters being introduced early, so it may be a little bit more confusing. Um, I think the story weaving could have been better. Weaving the story together and like the characters together could have been better. As Vanessa showed, like okay, maybe it should have been more focused on maybe the front half of the story where they backed up all the information. They backed up all the information to the end because they believe that you're now reliving revealing the information. Maybe it might have been better to have it in the front. Why I don't want to say better. I mean like it's more standard to have that in the front than necessarily in the back. But still, I still think that if you follow the movie, if you sit down and follow the movie very well, if I can, it still works. It's still a way of storytelling that happens often too. The VFX. The VFX are bad, but it's Nigeria, and VFX even in America sometimes can be a little bit. VFX is difficult to do. But this is where I'm going to call out Anthill. I'm not going to call Anthill. They love to show their VFX. They love to show their production. They love to, pick things that sometimes may not exactly mesh well. This is one of those things where like Nigerian epics used to do a lot of like practical effects. When they were cutting off the hand of the guy that was about to usurp the throne, but it seems like he actually deserves the throne. I don't know. Me was the first scene when they cut off the hand. That could have been a practical effect. There was no need for it to be VFX. That could have just been a practical effect. The practical effect would probably even be better. Like I know that Nigeria can do that practical effect. It could be a mix of VFX and practical. Maybe VFX to show the throwing of the knives, and like sometimes where there was like this is the thing that there was sometimes where I'm like, whenever they're cutting the people, the first scene the scene when they were going to the school of warriors and they were registering, and then that little fight happened because of the spy that was caught. you could clearly see that it was VFX to do the blood spatter and do the blood, the cut of the cross across it. And I'm like, that could just have been practical. That it could easily be a practical effect. It is. I think it's the kind of want to show off your VFX, and I'm just like, why? It's unnecessarily. Like you could just use practical effects for some of those things. Um, and there were some scenes that I'm just like, why didn't they use practical effects there? When they were burning the guy, I'm so sorry. That fire looks very, very real. I don't think that's VFX. So that is dangerous for me. I'm just like, you could have used VFX for this one. You know, it doesn't necessarily need to have been practical effect. I don't, So that's the choices of using VFX is a little where to use VFX is just like that could have been a practical effect. The practical effect is more impactful, especially when you're cutting the person's throat and everything.
All right.
It's more impactful than
But
VFX. Excuse me.
mm,
I'm not
you've
done.
been
I'm
talking
about to be
about
done.
I think you've been talking about VFX for about 3-4
I'm
minutes.
about to be done.
I just
I'm
say
about to be done. Let me finish. Thank you.
I'll
I'm so
mute
sorry.
you.
Why is it's always me that you're muting?
No, I've been giving people warning. I'm just your
Okay.
warning.
Okay, this is my one. I have one VFX more to say, but I am moving on to something else. Just please don't mute me. The background, in the whenever they come into the house and you see the something, you could clearly see it was shaking, and it was very obvious that it was a VFX thing. So I kind of want to say like they shouldn't do that for the next movie. Just don't do that, or at least do it better. Kiton, oh yeah, I think Kiton should have been the doctor. I think creatively, I think that they should have made Kiton the biological doctor. I I think that would have been a more impactful storytelling about the villainess of her father and her father's greed for only power and wanting to be in the center of the attention. But I get why they did it for their own story and the story plot line. I would just have loved it to be the the daughter. And that's the end. See, if you wait a little bit, I wouldn't have gone further than that. Okay. And that's my bads. That's the things that I think could have been better. Not necessarily bad, but like better.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Anika. Creative Fingers. Some things you
Okay.
didn't like.
Okay. For me, I think it's the development of the story. I think the intention was lost in translation. I felt like they did not drive home the message they were trying to through the narrative and character development. So how? Because we're introduced to the protagonist, to the antagonist first, right? The bad guy. And in fact, it felt like we were made to love the bad guy. And so they needed to undo that now with the entire film. But they didn't, because they introduced us to our main character now, which is the antagonist, right? And we're supposed to see the antagonist go into this tyranny and have conflicts with the tyranny, right? Like tackle it so that they can pass their message through the protagonist. But it felt like the protagonist went in there and became a tool for the antagonist, became a tool for like just an artist and asking us why. So it was very, very disheartening. At the end, when you're realizing the film, you just kind of start seeing where the problems are coming from. The protagonist force did not engage in any conflict with the antagonist. And that was the reason why I felt like the film just didn't have any direction. Because, okay, this is the bad guy yelling out orders. Everybody knows the bad guy. Now you can team up, right? Bogumi, Bodija, and okay, I can agree that perhaps that's the reason why their friendship kind of blossomed immediately because perhaps they had a common enemy. But they didn't do anything. In fact, they had to go to work with each other, trying to please this guy. Again, I mean, it just didn't sit well. It was as if the theme of the movie was that oppression, was about the disadvantages of oppression, but they couldn't make us feel like we could overcome oppression. They had to rely on words on the main character, using words at the end of it, telling us about children and all of that, which they actually exposed much later. So it was just as if that didn't work out well. Yeah, so the main character, what was his motive? I mean, we will understand that his father died. I mean, his whole village was wiped out. Now that's good. But then he forgot about it. He went in there and he forgot why he was there. Because he wasn't making any active, he wasn't taking any active steps to kind of find out who killed these people. Because if he had, he would have found out that this person is working for, and perhaps the story would have just gone in the right direction. But that was just not the case. He also felt like there was no character development for the main character, because I mean, the same reason why he stood up against the food rationing was the same reason why, we say he stood up at the end and tackled Ogundijis, even though there was this revelation that, yeah, oh, you're the one that killed my father. Oh, okay, so everything just coincidentally works out in my favor. Anyway, and then yeah, it was kind of very easy to get rid of this bad guy that has been made to be the whole story, the big bad guy. And even at the point, even Ogundiji was kind of underwhelming at the point, because he was just yelling out orders. He was, in fact, I didn't really even feel his tyranny so much. At the point in time, I was like, people were just disobeying this bad guy and nothing was happening. Bogumi disobeyed him, nothing happened. These three guys that is guard disobeyed him recklessly, and he punished somebody else. He was just, I mean, who is this dude? I mean, in as much as I like his presence and all of the Tani, lovely. But what are we doing with it? I mean, he in fact, it was when Bodija went to kind of massacre that village during the festival. I was like, I mean, now we're like seeing the effect of it, but ironically, he's our main character doing this for thing. And I think towards the midpoint, we get to see that the motive they started giving the main character was the love, his love interest, So, but that was kind of, that didn't gel too, because it kind of felt like the love story was forced, because I felt like there was no common ground, So how did they fall in love, I mean, if I was this guy and I had purpose and direction, I mean, I might not have fallen in love and decided to serve this master. I could even elope with the love of my life, right? I mean, take her away and then try to get, my allies, and then wage war with these dudes. I mean, I would love, man, come on, that story, but it was still there, doing all his biddings. I think the only two active steps he took throughout this film of his own decision, right, was just going against when the food rationing happened and when he went to save the queen. Everything else was just being influenced by somebody else, and so that was the reason why they couldn't pass the message they were trying to pass through the actions of the main character. They had to rely on a monologue, So it was like there was a lot of potential and they didn't maximize it. And okay, we'll wait for the next one.
All right. Thanks, Creative Fingers. It's actually, I'm very encouraged to see people who like the film also able to actually put criticisms of the film. It's very much appreciated. It's good to like a film and still go, yeah, but it had issues here and there. Although, Timmy, you're a suspect, to be honest. Jesus, that list was long. All right. I think I am going to read some of the comments. I'm just going to compile them a little bit more. We are in the bad section. The things we don't like. We've done the good section. If you're new here, Maiwa, please tell us some things you did not like, if you found anything.
There's not much I don't like about this film. I think I'm one of those people that give marks for effort when it comes to Nollywood. And I think that there was a lot of effort put into this. And I think I'm very forgiving if the story is straight. And I think this was a very good story. The weakest part for me in this film was the VFX, like every other person has mentioned. I think it could be better. It's not the worst that I've seen, but I just think it could be better given the person that was in charge of this. It didn't feel like there was a lot of improvement from his previous works. And I'm hoping that if there is another part, which I think was teased at the end, that they come correct on that part. Otherwise, honestly, I really do not have anything bad to say about this film. Maybe another thing is that the filmmakers were too trusting in the sense that they didn't have a lot of exposition because they expected people to sort of flow with the story that they had created before we saw the first scene. Maybe that's what they could have done. I don't mind it. I like that the story moved forward, and like you could tell, it reminded me of, when I was growing up and my dad used to tell me stories that were set in like the animal kingdom and everybody had their own thing going on and they came together when the tortoise wanted to run a race or something. But yeah, the VFX was my biggest feel for this movie, and I'm looking forward to what they do better with the next installment, if there is any.
All right. Thanks, Maya. Never heard someone say not enough exposition for as an issue for Jagun Jagun, but okay. And I think Omodudu is next. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing me back on, guys. So, sorry, I wanted to say something in my like that I remembered immediately after I stopped talking. I think I like Dotija, that is Latif's character, being able to communicate with the woods, kind of, and they used that characterization throughout the movie. They used it to solve some problem. Maybe in the third or is that the second act or third act, I don't know, because I didn't quite get the acts for this movie. So I think I like that. So going to my bad, this story was flat. It had a flat story progression. There was no, how would I say this? The characters remained the same throughout the movie, especially our protagonists and the villains. They remained the same throughout the movie. The only we were like maybe 20 minutes to the end before the protagonist realized how powerful he is, that this person was jealous. I don't think he even realized that and Femi was jealous of his abilities, kind of. There was no character arc in this movie. Do you get me? There was no character arc in this movie because the protagonist was just in the dark. He was just existing, even though they wanted us to know that he had a motive, he had a reason for joining the camp, for joining the what do I call it? Is it the school or whatever? But using it as a flashback in the third act doesn't make any sense. And Yoruba movie kind of do this thing that they do flashbacks in the third act, to explain things. I'm like, why do you do this all the time? Nobody hates Yoruba movies. Not like we don't want to watch it, but we need to do better with our writing. You don't use flashbacks in the third act to explain things, to give motivation. We want to know the motivation of this character. Why is this character doing this? So I really felt like the story was flat. Everything was just the same, and no character arc. So a lot of subplots just to show how what is his name? I'm always forgetting this villain's name. Femi Adebayo's character. A lot of subplots were just there to show how powerful he is, to show how wicked he is. The only time I felt he was wicked was when he, set that guy ablaze, and that was the only time I felt like, this is too much. But I didn't feel his power. I didn't feel the character. I think Latif's character, Bukumi's character, other characters were more, I could see them, but I couldn't see Femi's character. To be sincere, I couldn't feel his character. I didn't. His character felt passive for me because I was like, this person is a warlord, powerful warlord. I've never seen him in the war front. And every time he's twitching his head, the characterization was very bad for me. I felt nothing for that character. And the characters in this movie, I felt nothing for them actually. I don't know. Maybe I felt like maybe I was being, so hard on this movie, but I felt nothing for them. I didn't care about them. I didn't care about any of them. The only time I think I had a little kind of concern was when this girl died. Ogunkinton, whatever they call her. That was the only time I just felt it. Oh, love story. Oh, this is sad. That was the only time I felt anything for any of the characters. I didn't feel anything for them because they were just there, popping up, showing up, doing that. They even did something of a girl, a proud girl, not wanting to marry a rich man. And then, I know they actually used that, to move the plot forward so that we could see how the villain's wife would like Ogun DJ or whatever his name and would support him or would kind of make the Femi's character jealous. I didn't even say the jealousy actually, but it's everything just felt they were happening because they wanted to put this person in this movie. And this thing they do with Yoruba Epic when they are going to maybe Netflix or Prime Video or the cinema, they are trying to like put everybody in this movie so that I know they are trying to support people so that people can see that, oh, I'm in this big budget movie. But you don't have to put everybody in a movie and you don't have to do a lot, to write the story to make us feel it for your characters. A lot was happening in this movie, and I felt like there was no need for these things to happen. We don't need them. You can do little to to show us how wicked this character is. Okay, I've said like poor characterization for Femi. Yeah, and using flashbacks to reveal backstories. I I don't know. It's just maybe that was the reason I didn't connect with the stories. If they are giving us the motivation and we know, oh, it was this guy that killed this guy's father, and okay, here for revenge, or he didn't even know he was there. He didn't know he was the one who killed his father, and he came there, and he later realized that, oh, this was the person that killed my father. And then, the characters were passive; they were not active. This story is a plot-driven story, not a character-driven story. So I didn't care about the characters. They were just there like to move the plot ahead, and the plot was moving on its own, not the characters. So the pacing of this story for the first 20 minutes, I I was like, okay, when are we going to like see something happen this week? I know things were happening, but when am I going to like see a story? When am I going to like, catch my breath and enjoy this movie? Because things were just happening. Act from one action to action. I know you were trying to do an action-packed movie. I know we are trying to do it, but can we just, calm down and let us relate with your characters? Let us see them, talk and act and, let's see emotions. Because for the first 20 minutes, I had to stop and, go back to it. So I think maybe I was the only one who had voiceover in this movie. I think I had voiceover and I don't know when the voiceover disappeared. This thing of in Nollywood where we use voiceover and all of a sudden the voiceover will just end somewhere and you know when the voiceover fades out. So I think I had voiceover and I didn't know when it disappeared. I was trying to rewatch it, but I had the voiceover again. I'm like, okay, I had the voiceover in this movie now. So using voiceover and they were okay, yes, they were using voiceover to introduce the characters. So I didn't know why they stopped, and in the end they couldn't use the voiceover, to wrap it up. I don't know. I don't know the essence of the voiceover in this movie. I don't know it. So and the fight actions, like we don't. I don't know. I didn't live that era, but since I've been watching epic Yoruba movies when I was younger, they don't fight like that. They don't use swords like that. They could use swords to cut people's head, but they don't fight like all these Korean movies and Hollywood movies. People fight in Dakar that they hug each other, they carry them like wrestling, yes. something like a wrestling, not like they, throw punches, but like something that they wrestle and, they land each other on the floor. And there are people that they are waving shams. People wave shams and, make incantations. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear incantations in this movie. The incantation was not as much as I expected. People make incantations in Yoruba movies. I wish this movie could be better than this. Not like people just want to, but this is a Netflix movie, and you have the money, and you should, better your storytelling. Learn how to write stories that people will relate, and people just don't want to read movies for its sake. But I wish this movie could be better with the writing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Omodeji. Tass, you want to tell us some of the things you didn't like?
Sure. So Omodudu did say my main dislike, which is that the plot did not make very much sense. There were just so many holes and so many leaps right from the beginning. I think Botija's confidence is completely unearned because at no point do we actually know why, like, he is, they ask him when he's coming into fight school if he is. Hold on a second. I need to turn off my daughter's TV because it's super loud. Just give me 30 seconds.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. It was an emotional song about even though I'm the smallest in the group, that does not mean that I'm the worst. Okay, I don't know how the TV works. Anyways, like I did.
Go on, we can hear you. Right.
Yeah. Anyways, so the confidence is unearned right from the beginning, like right from that terrible tree liftoff. And so he goes into the school of fighting saying he can fight, but he doesn't have any powers, except he does have powers. And he apparently can fight, but we don't know how, we don't know why, we don't know where. Why is he even there if he can fight and already has powers? Anyways, in many ways, I think this is one of Latif's weaker performances, and I honestly would even say he was the weaker actor amongst the 3 or 4 characters that we are introduced to. The acting in many places, as well as even the dialogue, is very much made for stage. The fight sequences were bad. I don't know what we saw, but maybe 2 people had more fluid fight sequences, and for me those were Jagun Jagun himself and Botija's adopted father. What else? Oh yeah, there was a lot of action movie type fighting with like 5 people waiting for one person to beat them up at one time instead of just jumping him, which is not something you see in like war movies. It's more so something you see in like, I don't know, James Bond stuff. Ogundiji's wife, for all of her alleged power, she's demon, she's darkness, whatever whatever she was reciting in that scene, she's honestly a little more than a footnote and a prop, mostly for Lati's character. I mean, first for Ogundiji, because apparently she gives up her womb for his powers, whatever that means. And then for Lati's character, like Dudu said, that whole scene was set up for him to have a day to save. And it's very much prevalent in a lot of scenes that they're set up for him to do something about it. I mean, the soldiers have been eating. We hadn't seen them complaining about food. And then all of a sudden, Kitan decides they're getting one ridiculous ration amongst 2 people. And it's honestly just set up so he has something to be brave for. And then they flug him and she feels bad because apparently she's not a bad person. It's just all unearned. There's no actual relationship work done here. There's no reason why that guy is suddenly his adopted father. They have maybe 3 scenes. He meets him once and then he wants to give him his most powerful charms. It doesn't make sense. The relationship developments were sacrificed, I would say, because they spent so much time on the background stuff, which are very good, but we miss a lot of important character development and important character relationships in this way. And so it makes it very hard to even root for anyone. It was very easy and unearned that a hand rub from Bimbo is all it takes to convince his quote unquote stepfather not to go to war, and he's willing to defy this fearful leader who he knows very well. After, like, mind you, there was like a whole 5 minute scene earlier of him yelling how powerful and strong and whatever he is. Waste of time. Like, that whole thing was set up for Latif. um Moving past that, a lot of the flashbacks should have been used a lot better throughout the film instead of all packed in at the end. Titan's flashback, I felt like, was the only thing that was relevant for the end, but it feels like they tried to fit in too many twists in the end instead of slowly unraveling them through the story. Including obvious twists, of course, like Gunji being Latif's father's killer or whatever. Um, yeah, so like his whole character is a plot device. There is no growth for his character. There is no development for his character. He's very weak as a fighter, and at many points he would have died if other people weren't being used as plot devices. Even the queen that he saves, how did he know that the men attacking were statues? I guess I don't, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's just very, very easy. They just, right from the beginning, this is our hero. He has powers for whatever reason, and he's going to save the day. But yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, everybody has said the VFX. The VFX is annoying, but I don't think it bears saying. And there was so much use of it. Like, unfortunately, they didn't use it in 1 or 2 or 3 scenes. It's so much in the movie, from very beginning, from the tree falling and raising up to like those little, I don't know if they're bees or butterflies at the end that start going around his head. Like, it's all bad. The blood spurting was really bad, and it happens more than once in multiple scenes where someone gets stabbed and then blood is just spurting out like a fountain. Wasn't my favorite thing. The costuming was very disjointed, and more so than it should have been. There's a purple fur that I think Ogunji was wearing that sticks with me because it's such an interesting choice. Like, where did they get a purple animal from at that point? Like, it's just, and it's such an easy choice that they could have made there. But the purple fur is very distracting. The subtitles left something to be desired. So I don't speak Yoruba at all. But even I could tell that they definitely felt very, very off. Like, just context clues from watching what was happening on the screen and then seeing what was translated. It was very, very obvious that there were many things that were places that they shouldn't have been, or like just not translated clearly. But those are, I think, my big bads. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Atas. Wow, like this has to be the most time Atas has given us.
You say this every time.
No,
Not
no,
every
no,
time,
no.
but like
One,
every
this
time
one,
that
both
speaks for
good
more
and
than two
bad. It was
seconds.
very, very much long.
Yeah, this is the longest we've had.
Yeah.
We're grateful.
I mean, just on this subtitles ish, there was this scene where I can't remember what was going on, and the subtitle said "Who buried the balloon," and it just felt so out of place for the time it was set in.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who shaved the goats. That's all I want to know. If I know that, I'm gonna be fine. All right, but best African actor has.
All
You
right,
were
good
not here for the
evening.
good, so whether I'm not good or bad, anyone will do us.
Good evening, Nollywood Film Club. Thank you very much, Mr. C. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, loud.
Okay, so I'll just quickly run through my goods before I go to the bad. So the things I liked about Jagun Jagun, well, I'm a Yoruba man. I'm a man of culture. I love the show of culture in this film. I loved it. I saw. I think someone spoke about this Ojudioba festival. I know they intentionally put that color there, and that's scene too because of Ojudioba is currently trending. So I think that was why they did that scene, and it was very beautiful. I love the show of culture in this film. And another thing I love about this film is that they got straight to business. Starting from the first scene, they got straight to business. Like they entered whatever it is they wanted to do immediately. There were no unnecessaries in the beginning. They just went straight. Okay, this is the lead actor, and this is what we are doing. This is where he's going to. This is what we need to know. So they got straight to business. I'm not saying there were not some one or two offs there, but I think that one is worthy of emulation. Okay, the acting was intense, and I think I like it because one thing I know about Yoruba people is that we are very intense people. the way we talk, the way we act, the way we, the way we, do our body when we talk. We are very, very intense people, especially the old Yoruba people, sha. So the acting was a show of what we used to be or who we are. So the acting is very, very intense, and I think I love some of the characterization too. But I'll get back to that later. So I think that's pretty much the things I like. Yes, and now so the things I didn't like. Well, for the first thing, I think someone has already spoken about it. I mean, when you cut off somebody's hand immediately and mosquito is perching, sorry, and what is it called? Is perching on it, fly. That is not realistic. That will not happen anywhere. It will not happen anywhere. So they could have just done because the way they did it was fine, but then there was no need for that fly at all. It won't happen that you just cut off somebody's hand, blood was still spilling out, and a fly was already patched. I mean, was that fly waiting for this man to cut off somebody's hand? That's not realistic at all. Yes, I think I don't know. No one has spoken about this. Maybe probably I was the only one that noticed. At the school entrance, they shot some people. When people were coming to the school, when they opened the door, they shot some people. There is this very fair guy there. I think that guy is Shegbowe. I'm not too sure. Only and that guy died. Yeah, he was one of the first people that fell down. The guy died. Later, towards the last scene where they were fighting, and then the protagonist, sorry, the antagonist, when he said the warriors should start fighting themselves, I saw this guy again fighting Mr. Macaroni, and I was like, this is the same guy that died when they opened the school and people started coming in. He was one of the first people that was shot, and he died. And this is the same person I'm seeing again fighting Mr. Macaroni. I don't know what they did there, but I'm very, very sure. But I saw. Maybe if you go back to watch, maybe you guys will notice. But I saw that and it was very clear to me. Anyways, another thing is this guy. After they opened the school gate and they shot the guns and some people died and all that. I think they could have shown that Bogumi was hit by, sorry, Botija was hit by a gun. I think they could have just shown us that it was hit by a gun, and then I don't know why they decided to conceal it. Only for the next thing for us to say that they are treating his wound. I don't know why they concealed that, but I think they could have just shown us that it was hit by a gun. I don't know. I just feel it. I just feel that way. And okay, another thing is I think they wasted too many actors. They wasted too many actors. I don't expect to see Odinade Adekola in that scene. I mean, if I don't know, I just feel like there are some actors that you can use for some roles. And there are some actors that you should not just stress them because I see it as stress, although they are getting paid anyway. But then I feel like a lot of top actors were wasted in this film. You just brought them, they are not even saying anything. And these are veterans, you just bring them, they are not saying anything, they are just there sitting down, clapping, looking at the people that are fighting, and then that's all. That's all. I don't know. I know that Yoruba people like putting a lot of top stars in films when they want to do Netflix films and all that, but I don't know. I think it's something that has been done over time and it doesn't really make much sense to me. I feel like those actors are just being wasted. And then I don't understand Nadia Nicola's role in that film. I don't understand what he did in that film. His acting was good, though, but then I'm talking about the character now. What was the point of that character? How did that character contribute to the story? I hope they are going to make more exposition about that in the sequel. So another thing is, I think the head shaking of Femi Adebayo was too much. I don't know. I think the way it was. I know his characterization and all that, but I think it was a bit too much. And also, Botija should not be Botija's name. He's not from a family of warriors. The way, okay, Yoruba land, there's a way we name people. We name people from family. The family you come from, and people that drum, they are called Iron. The people that we name people like that. He's not from a family of warriors. So I don't know why he was named Botijao. Maybe it was an adopted name, but I don't know. I don't know. And then finally, before I round up, Botija is not different from Femi Adebayo in this film. It's not different from him because you were sent to kill. You were sent to kill everyone in a particular village, and you went there. The same thing they did to your own village where they killed your father. This is the same thing that you also went to do. Funny enough, his own was even more colorful because he killed them while they were celebrating. So I don't think that I don't think there's any difference between him and his Oga that he was fighting at the end of the day, because you guys just did pretty the same thing, and his own was even more colorful because you killed them while they were celebrating and when they were happy and all that, and then he said something to his guys while they were ambushing the village. I even thought he was going to change his mind. I thought he was going to change when he was saying, why did this man send us to come and do this and this and that? I thought he was going to change his mind. And all of a sudden, I just saw that somebody was dancing, and then the person carrying the igba was hit by a spear. And before you know what's up, everybody wearing white was already red. So I don't know why he said that particular line that he said there. But then all I'm saying is he is also not a good person. And that is the truth. And I think that kind of brought down the respect I had for his character in that film, because you are portraying this person to be a lovable person and someone that is good, someone that has good art. Because everything he was not saying at the end, well, it did not make any sense to me, because I was like, you're not a good person, bro. You just went to the Monolishi whole village, killed everybody that was there, and you're coming here to come and be teaching us about being good. I mean, either must come to the table to judge, must come with clean hands now. Like, you are also a very evil person, and that is just the truth. And I believe that even when you later become the boss, you probably will do worse. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Oh my goodness, you took that one right off my notes.
They're taking
Thanks.
our own notes, to be
Yeah,
honest.
to be fair. All right, okay. Shagun, please quickly give
Take it
us
away.
the things you do not like, Shagun.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my connection is bad. I was already typing my comments, but since you can hear me, my bad. 80% of the VFX was rubbish. I mean, for our current level, it was just. I mean, everybody has said it, but it was quite disappointing. Almost damaged the whole film for me. There were inconsistencies in the lighting in some parts. I could see a shadow of crane operator on one or two of the shots. I could see mustaches falling off. I think especially Bogumi's mustache was falling off at when he died at some point. I think also Oguduji's mustache too was acting funny in at his final moments. What else? What else? What else? There was something there was something that stood out to me. Yeah, the swords. Well, basically details, some details that people shouldn't be missing. The battle, most of the battles, some of the swords were clean after stabbing so many people, and then during training, the swords were stained. I don't understand that. Um, the swords they're using are a mix of some Roman swords and some other swords from other Western cultures. I don't really know, but that I think that would be fault of the fact that we have issues documenting our history or fine. The music for me, sometimes it sounded like Roman battle war music. Sometimes it sounded like Enya, especially when he carried Kiton after he had killed her. I was hearing some Enya type music. Some parts of it, just the music was all over the place. It didn't show, most of it didn't really sound African to me, apart from the places where they were chanting choruses, African choruses. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. The lighting was very inconsistent in a lot of the parts, especially when I think that guy was calling thunder. I don't know what was going on there, but I think that falls under VFX. Those were the bad parts. Even though these parts, I decided to look at these parts on my second watch. They didn't really spoil it for me, but yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. A lot of people have said things about the stories not connecting and all that, and I think that is because people were watching it with a certain eye. Some things were explained, some things were easy to get. It might just be because some people are more Yoruba than others, but I might be wrong. I didn't really see issues with the stories. Yes, establishing some of the characters had issues, but I mean, we know where we are in film, where we're getting better in this storytelling thing. So I don't think that was much of a problem. I think that's pretty much what I have for the bads. Thank you.
What was all this room for, Yahoo? Where was this
All
like?
this
Where's pity,
kindness
kindness?
and understanding
For
where we
This is
are
why
when
I
we
have my
reviewed
hand up,
Yahoo
and
Plus.
and
for 20 naira Yahoo
no,
Plus.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say it now, but my hand is far up.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, all right. Let let's read some comments, and Mr. C, you can tell some things you don't like. All right, so we have Damala saying, while I appreciate the VFX has greatly improved, some of it was still weird. Example, the scene where this character's hand was chopped off. Yeah, I think a couple of people have mentioned that, and honestly, like somebody said, I think it was Ian said, it could have easily been done with VFX. Does iPhone not show the people? Oh my goodness. My OS says, why would you watch 25 minutes of one scene? I don't know if this was, I'm not sure what my OS means, because my OS said she couldn't find almost anything. I think this is, I forgot. There we go. All right, Arenta says, Comfort, the zinc roofs broke the immersion for me. I don't remember zinc roofs, but if they were, I can imagine how that works. Zainab says, yeah, I also didn't fully understand the movies, understand the motive behind Buttigieg killing people of that white village. That's so wicked and contradictory to his character. He didn't have to. He was such a good fighter already. Couldn't he have dropped out, fight back, do something? I agree. Orinta says, Yoruba film isn't complete without lesson in quotes. Yeah, that's so true. Also, we were supposed to care about when he was death, but they left out the scene that would have helped develop his character, only for those scenes to show up in flashbacks. Yeah, this is the thing. Shagun people are saying when they're like not establishing the character. It's like they give you the thing you're supposed to feel
And then you tell me,
after, and then they tell you,
yeah,
oh, this is why you should have felt
felt,
about the thing
yeah.
that we were just, yeah.
But the moment has passed and I didn't feel
Yeah,
anything.
it's backwards and it's very unsatisfying. Aronto has picked my number one thing, which is the editing for me. I felt like the first scene with the narration should have come after the scene where he rescues the king. Some other scenes also felt lacking in context as well, which I believe it was because of the cuts. Yeah, all right. When it comes to my thing, I'll talk about some of the editing. Oh, Ebube with some likes. Clearance of the story. All right, Ebube.
Calm down.
I love many of the angles and shots, a bit of the visual effects. The location was very well chosen. All right. Okay. Mrs. C.
So a lot of people have kindly said all of my dislikes, which was unexpected considering how the likes section went. But yeah, primarily my main problems with this. Number one problem, Femi Adebayo's head twitching. Just considering that he was such a main character and I had to see so much of him, the continuous twitching took me out because it just didn't seem like a real twitch. I could see that this was an actor trying to be in a character and it kept taking me out of almost every scene he was in. Second, the storytelling. This everyone that has called this coherent, I don't know if we watched the same thing. It felt like such a mess. It felt so messy. Like things were being put in places they hadn't reached, or like it was just here to there, and it really felt incoherent. It felt messy, jumbled, and yeah, the emotional beats that we're supposed to feel when most partners crying. In fact, I think when we were discussing it, you mentioned we see her in the village and we see people come for her hand, but we have no idea who she is. We have no idea what this village is and why this scene is important where she's chasing away suitors. When we move forward, it turns out it's because the village sent her man on a mission. Okay, but that scene has lost all impact it's supposed to have because you haven't given us the right introduction to care about that scene. And then he dies, and we see them burning him, right? And it's okay, they've told us he came here, his village sent him here. He's done a kind thing, he's been killed. I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever watched someone get burned at the stake in a film and felt nothing. Like, okay, all I'm feeling is confusion as to why we're burning this man at the stake. And I think this is our introduction to the fact that what's his face is, an evil guy. Right? I think this is our introduction to the fact that he's an evil guy. But it's just confusion. And also, like, his acting. He doesn't seem scared, right? He seems mildly inconvenienced. Like, the fire is getting hot. All right, this is a bit hot now.
I think there's one point Jagun says increase the fire, and he's like,
no, don't do that. Like, don't increase the fire. And it's like, because considering where he was, right, he was already supposed to be feeling quite a lot of heat, and he just seemed like the acting was like they would change their minds, right? He didn't portray somebody who was actually being burnt at the stake. And then we get to his village and we see this whole emotional moment, and we're asking who shaved the goat, and I just don't really care
who shaved the goats.
I care who shaved the goats, but like the rest of it is just nothing. And then we get the flashback to him, and it's like, all right, we've passed it, it's over, we're done, we don't care. Then we move on to like the characterization of people, right? There was it what did you
Who?
Latif's character.
You can say Latif's character.
He was such an underwhelming warrior, fighter, character, that there was just absolutely no realm of possibility where this person, this big, bad, feared person, would be even remotely concerned about him and feel threatened. I felt no threat. This is not King Saul and David. He hasn't slain Goliath. There is absolutely nothing that seems threatening. So it's a big plot point, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying why this guy is going through all these processes to kill him. Also, this guy burnt someone at the stake, right? For giving someone food. I don't know why he needs all this subterfuge to kill this measly little person. All the subterfuge is not needed. Kill him. And it is done, right? If you don't like the
what's all these bougie words you're using?
Go ahead. Like, if you don't like the look of him, kill him. Also, when he saved the guy's wife, I think she had it under control, right? She'd been spitting out those bullets. She had it well in hand. He didn't need to come in here. Oh, I'm a man. I saved the day. They didn't need him.
She was saying, "Oh, this bullets needs to stop" or something.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure getting shot was not fun.
Yeah.
Right, but she was taking care of business. She's a big, strong woman. She can handle it.
Yeah, it seemed like she wanted help.
Fair. Okay. Anywho, but there was that. Let's just say there was nothing this guy had given that showed him as a threat. So I had no idea why we were doing all this. But also, is this a guy I should be rooting for? Like, how dumb are you? How many times is somebody trying to kill you for you to go, you know what? Maybe this guy doesn't like me. Right? They put you in a coffin after they'd asked you to fight like the strongest fighter, and you can't do shit. You're not the strongest fighter. That guy like dog walked you around that arena before somehow you stabbed him because he let you. Right? Now they've put you in a coffin. All of a sudden you're underwater. Shouldn't that have been a sign that, you know what, no, they really want you dead? No, he's still doing his thing. And then his whole thing before he killed the people in the village, crazy, absolutely crazy that he did that whole speech, right? Did the whole speech, then went on to slaughter the village, then goes back. He's like, yo, I did what you asked. Why are you trying to kill me? Accidentally kills his girlfriend, and that's what gives him vim. That's his motivation to come back. Not that he killed a whole village of innocent people the way his family was killed and the way his village was slaughtered, right? It's because he had accidentally killed his girlfriend who they mind controlled to come and kill him. Now he's coming back and giving a rousing speech to the people, right? Let's not let these people use us. It's hollow, right? Besides the fact that it's ham-fisted and it just doesn't seem to... It's hollow. You just did a genocide. Like, I don't want an electoral tout coming to lecture me on letting politicians use me. Get out. So it's like that whole thing, it was just so underwhelming. I'm like, this is not the character I'm rooting for, because why? It just didn't work, right? And I had one more thing. What's my thing? Yeah, motivations again. Like, I love the motivations. Just, I think someone's mentioned this, but like, I still don't understand how, like, the guy they burnt, they sent him there, the village sent him there, right? So we start this film with all the villagers seem to think this guy is powerful, right? But no one seems to think they're in danger from him, if that makes sense. Like, he says, my village sent me here because, like, your soldiers are feared, right? Like, oh, the people who attack us, they fear your soldiers. And then when they send Latif's character to go do the murders, they don't send him in disguise, right? They send him in the identifiable soldier uniform. So have the soldiers been going to cause terror in their usual uniforms, and other soldiers are coming to stop them? And it's it it's Timmy's thing with the necklace. You put it together, you put it on, and you can't put it around your neck. It just really didn't work. And like, this film was not for me. It was definitely not for me. It was too messy. The story just fell, motivations fell, and I just couldn't care about anything except it ending.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to flesh out that part where you said he came from a genocide, and the thing that makes him want to. If it feels like the thing that gets him to do his speech isn't that he did the genocide. It's that he kills his girlfriend or that kind of thing, and like one of the reasons why we know this is that when his girlfriend comes as, what's it called? As it what's
Agemo, Mr. C. Agemo.
Agemo? When his babe comes as Agemo, he's like, hey, what's going on? But I've done everything we want. What did I do wrong? And it's almost like he almost feels like he wants to say, did I leave a baby I need to go back and kill out, because I'll go and kill that baby? Like, what? He's not in a space where he feels repentant. He's like, oh, like, what didn't I do? How can I fix it? So like so that's why we think it's the death of his girlfriend that incites him to go and do this speech that again, it's a little reminiscent of King of Thieves, where somebody has been killing everyone.
The whole village is
Killing
like,
everyone's like,
y'all
hey,
should not hurt
Don't
thieves.
take my point.
All right. Anyway, so my bad. I didn't like the score. I don't think it's a score that I could probably listen to. Like, it's nice music. I just don't. It didn't feel like it fit. I think Shagun mentioned some things to that effect. This film felt very disjointed for me. People have mentioned the stuff with the flashbacks, and that's 100% what I felt. And there was just almost a lot of little head scratching moments for me that always just kept on making me not get into the flow of the film. A couple of things were, I remember, like, even Jagu, not Jag, what's his name? Adebayo's, Femi Adebayo's first kill. Uh, he slices this guy's hand, but like he's all the way across the room, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, how? It's like, did he? How? And like, I know, like, he has all these powers, right? I'm sure there's some way he could have done it, but like, show me. It's just, when you don't do that, it just makes me go, what I miss? Did I miss something? I take it back. Oh, I haven't missed something. It just makes me feel you haven't really thought about a lot of the things, which, yes, that's a lot how this film plays out to me. Another thing that happens is when um Latif's babe that comes as, I'm gonna go with Agemo. I was gonna go with Masquerade for comes as Agemo, and the he kills her with the trees penetrate her, and only for the second time in the film, and it's daytime, and then it cuts to nighttime. I'm like, what's
still bleeding out?
Yeah, I'm like, because, like, what does this why does this happen? Like, like, it actually, there's a cut and it goes to nighttime. I'm like, what are you trying to show me with this? It's so unnecessary. I was like, why have you just been standing here? I was like, oh, maybe they're trying to say, they're in the middle of nowhere, there's, he can't carry her, but we see him carrying her. he had a dead body, which probably would have weighed heavier, back to the village. Don't understand. All these small things are just like things that when he tried to go, these things are scattered, amongst with all the flashback things. It's just scattered all across the films. Like I couldn't go 5 minutes of this film, with the exception of battle scenes, where I'm like, what just happened? Why did that just happen? It's just filled with bad filmmaking. Um, Latif doesn't grow. In terms of like, it seems like he's going to this place, the warrior school, to learn how to become, and he can already talk to wood, right? He respects wood. So and honestly, like the part with the tree, I'm guessing maybe that was the tree probably looking out for him or something, which I guess if that was the intent, that was nice. But since we he learns that it doesn't really get better. Like, even one of the things that he does that nobody else has done, it's through the thing he could always do, which is by speaking to wood. So like, they don't even like really show the essence of this great place you go to training, and it feels pointless. And honestly, there's a wide shot where they're doing the training thing and people are just taking the piss. um there's something that looks like a monkey band, and this guy just like, he just touched it and just with his hand and just walked away. And then I don't know why you need a wide shot if people are not going to be doing the training, taking the training seriously. But yeah, there was that. Mrs. C has said how the lecture was meaningless. Yes. Um, Kitan also doesn't seem right. I think somebody else touched on that, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to bother. I think you mentioned Femi Adebayo's character. Mrs. C mentioned Femi. Like, it seems like people just fear him when the scripts need him to be feared. It doesn't make. I don't. Even Timmy touched on, like, he's sort of known for killing village. Well, not known, but he's certainly like waged war on a bunch of people, but it doesn't seem to have any consequences. Um, a lot of the villages, to me, just you can swap them out. They don't mean anything. They're just the places that Femi Adebayo's character is going to go and conquer. They- they- um, like, they don't particularly have any character to them. I mean, like, maybe the people that were all wearing white or something. I don't know. Maybe that's, yeah, yeah. But in terms of, I guess the reason for so many. But anyway, it just seemed like the film just keeps on throwing stuff at you, and like, what does this mean? I kept on asking, what does this mean? And a lot of it just doesn't mean anything. All right. I'm just going to close with this. Another thing that just stops me getting into it is how incredibly repetitive this film is. All right. I think I have, you don't have to do this yourself, but I have quotes. I have quotes. This is something that, and I understand, like, sometimes, like, maybe, you hail somebody. It happens in a few cultures. When you're hailing somebody, sometimes you can call them 3 to 4 names. But like, the movie does this so many times, where it's saying the same thing over and over again, and I'm like, okay, I get it. But like, even at times where it should be awkward, again, I'm going to go to where Kiton is dying. This is when we've gone to nighttime, right? This is a quote from her. This is, again, you have to remember, she's dying. Ogundiji turned me into a messenger of death. He turned me into a horror on all lands. He turned me into Agemo. Him and the people he worked for, they turned me into a whip a whip for the innocent. It's like, she's said he turned me into a bad bloke in 4 different ways. It's like, why? Why? You're dying. You're dying. Use your last breath and find something else to say. And then the proverbs, and I'm sure people said the proverbs were nice and poetic, and sure, I guess, but some of them made me scratch my head, like, I don't still know who shaved the goat. I'm still here wondering, amongst other things. They're just the point is that there's some proverbs in here that whilst maybe it makes sense in Yoruba, like, but like by the time you translate them, I'm just going, what does that mean? That doesn't fit. Is that burying the balloon? There's one with burying the
Who
balloon.
buried the balloon?
Buried
Where
the
will we
balloon.
bury the balloon or something
All right.
like that?
Okay, and then I'm gonna read you again a couple of examples. This is also from our Kiton, who is still dying, by the way. This is still dying. She has time for proverbs, Sha. Uh, The iron pills has killed my fish with its poisonous hook. The trap has killed my rat with its wisdom. I don't know what any of these things mean. I'm flabbergasted. So I don't
Arrest the translator.
have proverbs. Okay, but like, do we need to have it everywhere? Do we need to have it littered? It's just like the dialogue for me is just so unwelcoming. I don't know how it is for Yoruba people, whether like it's kind of
About
cool if, but like for somebody who doesn't understand it and was reading the subtitles, I was just bemused and confused by a lot of the dialogue.
I think the translation was just poorly done.
I don't know how
to translate with
but
context, and it feels like, because also I don't speak Yoruba, right? But it feels like a translator should be translating something with context, unless they literally used a proverb about a balloon for the 1900s,
Okay.
which is just ridiculous.
But even at that, like, if somebody is dying, do I need to say, he turned me into a this, he turned me into a that, he turned me into a this, he turned me into a that, 4 times?
Lamentation.
I
I feel like
I
dying is a
mean,
good
you're
time to
dying
lament.
though.
Oh
Dying
man.
speech doesn't always make sense, and a lot of it is just lamentation as opposed to trying to be coherent. Like you're literally dying.
I feel like if I were dying, I'd lament too. Depends on the context of how I'm dying.
I just feel like if I'm dying, like, I want to use my last few
What are
words.
using it
Well,
for?
when you're dying, Mr. C, we will wait for your last
I
words
will
and we
tell.
will announce it to
I'll
the
tell
whole
you guys.
room.
I'll tell you guys. Mrs. C,
We'll live stream
yeah,
it
yeah, we'll do a space actually. I
right
think.
before the police come get me.
You do space when you're dying.
All right. Okay. Okay. But that was my general gist. I really couldn't. I found this film more frustrating than King of Thieves, which I couldn't get into. But like, I actually thought I enjoyed at least some sort of the Yoruba language, and maybe this might be the Yoruba thing wearing off. Like, all right, I've already seen it before. I don't. It was cute the first time, but like, yeah, I couldn't do this. It's just really difficult. All right. Okay, Vanessa.
Yes, I'm here. Okay. So, before I get into we're making excuses for Nigeria again and Nollywood again. Before I get into that, ọ̀rọ̀ Ògùn yẹn ló ń bí mi nú, because in their war cry, wọ́n ní pé Ògùn la fi ń gbógun àbí Ògùn la fi ń jagun. Wọ́n ní pé wọ́n máa ń lo Ògùn jagun. And while Omodudu was right, while we might say, okay, a wrestling type fight, Gidigba type fight is not cinematic for a war film like this. He was right in saying a lot of the way Yoruba people fought in the olden days, at least me, I'm shy, I'm still a spring chicken, I'm still quite young, so I wouldn't know, but he's quite right in saying they used charms. And that is the premise upon which this was built. In fact, it as extrapolated to us by Feti Abalogun in the final scene, she gave up her ability to bear children for the sake of Ogundiji having these charms, these powers. It is the same reason why Ogundiji took Iroyin Ogunkitan, because she had powers. It is the same reason why Bogumi was so proud of his owning of charms. Yes, one logun when they are jaguing. Why? One logun, one low incantation. The truth is, I would have preferred incantations over proverb, over proverb 500 time of scraping goats and burying balloon. Because tá bá ń wo Yorùbá film ayé àtijọ́, àwọn bàbá yẹn, you'll be seeing them, two warring factioning men who believe in different gods. You know, it's give and take. She get me, man. Is a basbos, and it's not basbos of blow. It's basbos of incantation. One person will drop all like this, so man jab one, the other person will say another one, man jab one. No, but man, that's one portion man she on here, and I want people you want. One,
Give or take.
they didn't do it. And I guess they were trying to over dramatize the use of charms and overplay and overstate the VFX. And it would have been a lot more impactful. Toban suck pẹ̀lú word of mouth. Toban drop and one come. Because in fact, when they killed Bogumi, when his wife's father was laughing at his death, Shebi Baba yẹn ní pé that Shebi Bogumi said òun lóògùn. Yes, kò lóògùn kankan. So what that was a commentary on the entirety of the film. Tó bá ní pé wọ́n lóògùn, why wípé wọ́n lóògùn yẹn? Why are they not using the oògùn tó ní pé they have? It's one of the things that really, and it genuinely is just a whole explanation as to why the film didn't work. You say something is how you're gonna do something, and then you don't do it. Why? And I'm sorry, I'm not making exegun. I will beg you for it, because all these excuses then make fun Nollywood. If this was King of Thieves, we can make the excuses. But when you have the same culprits, Femi Adebayo àti Ant Hill àti Niyi Akomalayan, not join together, not shake King of Thieves in the first place. Can it be King of Thieves was an experiment? Let's all say King of Thieves was test run. This was them trying to figure out what worked and what didn't work. And I would like to say, the audience came out and said what didn't work about Ageshin Koleo. We did say what didn't work. A lot of the issues with story, we said. A lot of the issues with the dialogue, we mentioned. A lot of the issues with the effects, we said. A lot of the issues with us trying to make us root for who was supposed to be an anti-villain, who had no motivations as to why his character was doing what he did. We mentioned as an audience. And then you get the opportunity to do it with a big budget, and you are still making the same mistakes. And you expect me to make excuses for the mistakes that you are making a second time around with a much bigger budget, where there's something you're doing on a much larger scale. And you're still doing the same things with your characters, with your effects, with everything that the audience has said was an issue. Because the excuse, and I'm not going to be, I'm genuinely not seeing the intentions for anything. I'm sorry. There is no this is good for Nigeria. There is no this is a start. We've gone past that. We've done too many of a first in Nollywood to do this, first in Nollywood to do that. At this point, nobody can be a first again. This is nonsense. This is not a first to do anymore. We've gone past first to do at this point. And this nonsense, I'm sorry, that add-on speech at the end, that speech of the rich people use the poor people to do this thing, it has become a chorus in Nollywood. You are mentioning King of this. You people did not see that it was also in a Gang of Lagos. That was Gang of Lagos. Was that not Toby's speech too? Rich people are using poor people to do their thing. Let's gather all of us. Let's fight. How? And it was done in the same way at the third act. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, why is this man threatened? Why is this man threatened by what is considered a small rat? Because you are not saying, if you're saying he's threatened by the affection of the people or the people in his camp, it's different. Then you would have to establish to us that people actually care about who this boy is. It's not that people were hailing him so much after he killed Bogumi. No, after he threw the spear through the kidney. Shebi, I thought it was just festival happening. Somebody had to do it anyways. So, of course, the people will celebrate as festival happenings. That should not be enough to warrant feeling threatened by a small rat who came to learn fighting from your camp. So, the reason why Saul was threatened by David, like, I'm sorry, we're going biblical, but it's really upsetting, because the reason why Saul was threatened by David was because David had the affection of the people after having slain Goliath. Samuel had come and said David was next anointed. There is a reason why, there has to be a tangible reason for which you are feeling threatened. Small Pekin that came to you is who you are afraid of. Why? What are you threatened by? If you have this, again, back to the Ogun, Tobanipe Ologun, Why are you afraid of somebody who apparently doesn't have anything beyond speaking to trees? What is the reason for a lot of the happenings? Why did stuff happen? Like Mr. C, that was my continuous question throughout this. Why is this happening? What does this mean? And it meant nothing, because why was he threatened by this boy? Like Mrs. C said, you could have as well just burnt him on the stake, because nobody cared enough about him except for Keaton. He does Kolebi, he does not have family members. You conveniently has killed his father from the beginning, so he does not have family members who care about what happens to him. The only person who cares about him is Keaton, so you could have very well, that is the one person he could have killed and nothing would have happened. That is the one person he could have killed without going through subterfuge, like Mrs. C said, without going through the corners. He could have come spoken to him direct, killed him direct without going through the corners. It's just not plausible. I'm sorry, and I'm not suspending belief for what is not plausible. You people cannot keep doing this to me. I'm tired of watching Nollywood and having to make excuses. We're not doing first to do anymore. This is not first to do. At this point, we're getting inundated by epics. And we are apparently going to continue to be inundated by epics. So we cannot be making the excuse for first to do anymore. This is not first to do. Please, let's be guided.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. All right, so a couple of people have common sense. Rotimi, please quickly what you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Why do you guys have to put me after nothing? Why? No, so I was actually made my mind I was going to avoid this space today, but I'm like I couldn't help myself. And two things. I think that like I put a comment earlier, and I was like, why do people keep saying why as a Netflix movie and everything? And I'm like, first of all, I'm even having some discussion with one of my film fans, and I'm like, what I'm constantly hearing is that like people, where's the audience? They're always asking for the algorithm tells them that look, there's an audience for this kind of content. Now I can put a wager that like if everything was said in these spaces and was put into a list of suggestions, and somebody made that film with all the suggestions, there is a small possibility that that film might not work and not attract an audience, because for whatever reason, this seems to be the patterns of. This is how some people have understood the pattern of how to make a Yoruba film or Yoruba epic. It's now kind of in a way a style. So sometimes I'm like, my mom saw this and was like, she loves it. I put it on my status, and she was like, oh, this was so beautiful and everything. I'm like, okay, my mom loves this, and my mom's an fair woman, and she loves it. And I'm like, okay, so this is why Rotten Tomatoes divides audience scores and critic scores. So there's an audience for it, and since there's an audience for it, people will keep making. They will make until the wheels fall off, until people get tired and stop watching it. Then the data and the algorithm tells Netflix, oh no, people are not coming to watch this anymore. They're like, okay, we don't want more epics. And the nature of how you make it is not the issue. The issue is that if there's an audience. That's just me, just talking on it, just the general stuff. In the filmmaking aspect and everything, so this movie kind of like, the particular point I was like, I don't want to talk about the beginning. At one point, the moment they sent Latif's character on the quest, okay, you're going to fight this guy, you're going to be in a coffin, you're going to go and slaughter that village. I'm like, okay, I understand this film now. Okay, this is the quest. This is the goal. Okay, this guy's going to do this thing. I was literally just before when the masked assassin came, I was like, this masked assassin is this girl. And I was like, yes, I called it. This was right. This is this girl. This is this guy's heartbreak. This is the dark night of the soul. Now he's going to go and face the main warlord, and the last fight is going to happen. I'm like, yes, this is okay. I understand the structure. When I start thinking about everything else that happened, which is like how you, but I think it's a pattern, but I don't want to say this is a pattern because I used to watch Sauride and Oluwanile from Oga. God, I'm not make mistake. Anyhow, I've seen Yoruba films that have structure. So, but I also know that there are Yoruba films that have this weird thing where they jump from plot to this plot. So, why is this guy fighting? Why is the main character fighting his mentor that gives him charms? Oh, his guy that gave him charms didn't go and kill that village because he has his wife has relations there. Okay, why does he have to kill that village? The village tried to assassinate the wife of the warlord. Okay, why did they try to assassinate the warlord? Oh, because they burned somebody at the stake. Why did they burn somebody at the stake? Oh, because he gave some people food. Why did he give those people food? Because those ones didn't follow an order when they went for war. So we're tracking back. So when I think about it backwards, I'm like, oh, this is what happened. So everything happens like plot device. Okay, and the jazz and his charms are there. Like the point about the charms are just there because the charms are there. Like a plot device. Oh, how do I control these things? We have charms. Oh, why do we need to fight? Okay, we're fighting now. It's not. I've known this for a fact that production drives Nollywood stuff, not story, script, character. That's not it. I can put together. Look at the scale. Look at all the costume. Look at how much cast. You understand? So this idea of the story, yeah, we'll put it together. These people fight this person, this person is a bad guy. Oh, we'll do this. We'll control the wood, and we'll join together. And the next people will buy it. And there's an audience. I saw people saying that we should nominate. We should send this to the Oscars. And I'm like looking at them. I'm seeing 10 over 10. I'm looking at them. Like, I don't mind the film. I find it entertaining. But like when people, this weird association with what we think is quality, and I don't think quality to a lot of people is necessarily filmmaking and script writing. It's about having an audience. And once even you people are also still part of the audience. You want to watch the film. If nobody showed up to watch the film, then be like, oh, this thing, maybe there's something wrong with the filmmaking. But as long as an audience is there, people will watch films and they will make more. So yeah, that's my own 2 cents. But I like it. I think Yoruba culture is great. I think we need to do more things in our native language. We act better that way. The story side, the fighting side is where this is the last point I want to make. I don't know if I'm influenced by what I've seen from before. And I'm going to say this because when I thought about the guy where he came to train, I kept thinking about Spartacus, like the series Spartacus. I'm like, this place, is this guy muscular enough? Are they teaching them any fighting techniques? But I'm like, am I now judging this Yoruba film based on what I saw in Western media? Am I also judging the story, the structure of the story based on what I'm thinking in Western media? Is it now that this is maybe these people's style? So it's not like whether I'm comparing them or I'm judging them based on a wrong criteria. Maybe there's a criteria for how people that really watch Yoruba films, like this is what makes a Yoruba film sweet. Maybe I'm using a wrong criteria because I don't watch enough Yoruba films. I've watched a few. I don't watch enough to know, okay, these are the tropes that will really work for this film, this kind of style. Because it might be a style. Maybe these filmmakers will say it's a style. Probably don't know it because maybe I think I'm over-influenced by what I watch in Western shows. And I'm like, okay, if it's not following this pattern, that means this film is not good. But hey, that's my 2 cents. But thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks for it to me. Okay. Wayne's rants on YouTube. Play. It seems like you have. Is it like came late too? But some things have been said, good, bad. It seems like you had pushback. See you coming. But yeah, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everybody. First of all, I'm really happy because this is the first time I'm speaking on a Twitter space and my internet kept going off. So I think I'll say a few of the good things I saw and then the bad things. A lot of the things I may be saying have been said. I keep going on and off, but whenever I come back on, I hear people saying a lot of things that I thought. I also want to like address a couple of things that people said. So there was a guy that spoke about he would have preferred if the fight scenes were like Gidigbo kind of fight scenes. And I think Vanessa also spoke about the fact that it doesn't work because I also had that thinking, but it won't work for like a war film. However, I also think like that the fighting style that they chose also doesn't work. So I think they had to find a way to fuse it better, where we have like maybe it is charm intensive, where we see like them using a lot of, because I grew up watching a lot of those Yoruba hunter films, and you see those others with like the charm on their chest, and then when they see another fighter and they want to fight, this guy will speak his own charm, that guy will speak his own, and it's usually like a battle of words instead of physical strength. I didn't like the cuts. I really, really hated the cuts in the film. Not cuts, like the editing. So there's this film, Quentin Tarantino film that I really like, Inglorious Bastards, and the way they were moving from, and I think there's another film, Hateful Six. I'm trying to think of the film, but the way they were moving from location to location, it really felt like a lot of westerns that I've watched. And westerns, I don't mean by Western, like movies in the Western world. I mean like the genre Westerns. It felt a lot like those Westerns. What I hated about that was the fact that every location they went to didn't mean anything to me. Like they would go to this kingdom and then this other kingdom and this other kingdom. I'm like, okay, right. I think if you ask generally everybody that saw the film to mention like 2 locations in the film, nobody knows. They just kept going places, but what was happening? Why were they going? There was nothing about that. The story, I understood the story. I could see a lot of the twists coming. The twist, saw the twist that Agemo was Keaton's character from like earlier, because I kept thinking, who could Agemo be? And then I looked around, I was like, okay, it has to be her. So, but I could see the twists. I usually see twists in films, but I didn't like how it was eventually unveiled and unraveled to us. It just felt, they just put everything in the end and just like rushed it. Someone also spoke about the fact that they were wasting characters. Sorry, I was taking notes. Someone spoke about the fact that they were wasting characters, and I think Odunlade's character, there's no issue with that because that was an obvious cameo. And Femi Adebayo just wanted to have like as many big stars in the film as possible. I think I have 2 more things to say. I really, really hated all the relationships in the films. Every single relationship. The relationship between Ogundiji and his wife, the relationship between Ogundiji and his people, Ogundiji and the kings. It's like whoever, okay, I don't want to say anything that makes it sound like I have issues with people, but they didn't write relationships well. Kito and Botija's relationship, I don't know, it left a lot to be desired. You could see that they had chemistry, but it's like, where did we go? I think they had that scene where she made them flog him. Then we had the next scene where she's sitting with him and telling him, oh, come, let's be friends. Then they have the scene where she's talking to him outside the house of his mom. And then in the 3rd scene, I'm seeing them together. He's telling her how much he loves her and how like he will be with her forever. And I'm like, yeah, I can't see it. I can see the chemistry, but I can't see how they got to that place. The relationship between, generally relationships in the film, checking my notes. Yes, I think Mr. C is wrong. There was the fact that it was Ogundiji that was the father of Kiton's child was said. So I understand Yoruba, and I watched it. I always watch films with the subtitle. I can't remember if I heard them say it, but I remember seeing it. So it was there. They obviously removed it maybe like 2 days ago. Or yesterday, I don't know.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, at this juncture, I just like to point out that half of the people are on one side and half of the people on the other side, which probably leans to what Mrs. C was alluring to, that it was probably.
I saw it actually earlier.
Yeah. Yes. You probably saw it earlier, and it said something, because I watched it a second time because I couldn't do it the first time. But yes, it seems like because I took it back to watch with Mrs. C, and it doesn't seem like there's a place where she says
I literally just went back like 4 minutes ago to watch it, and it wasn't there. So it had been removed. Lastly, the last thing I'm going to say, and it's one of the things that really pains me. I have this conversation with my friends a lot of times about how people say that bad art has an audience, but bad art doesn't have an audience. The audience for any art is as good as what the artists give them. A very simple example is, so where I am, the poetic scene is really, really like non-existent. There are like maybe 10 good poets on the island I stay. I'm in Cyprus. And I started doing poetry like 3 years ago. And everywhere I've performed, like people are they are so amazed and like, this is the best thing I've heard. You are the best thing since sliced bread, blah, 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 blah. And I have like a lot of friends in Nigeria. And I know that by the time I return to Nigeria, I'm going to have to like really struggle because my level and the level at which they do poetry and like spoken word in Nigeria is completely different. And I'm bringing this to say that this notion that people like they are making bad films because people like bad films. It's actually people like bad films because that's the only kind of films they are exposed to. We ourselves are no much different from those guys that like this terribly written and terribly by the way, the VFX is terrible. I think everybody has said that, but I don't need to point that out because I was crying when I saw the VFX. Anyways, the notion that people like bad art because that is what they like, I don't think that is true. I think the more they are independent and one or two filmmakers, directors, producers that decide to make good art, once people taste, like if the only rice you've taken in your life is unsalted rice, the day you taste jollof rice with the right amount of salt and maggi, you know what it really tastes like, and now you can really judge food. So I hated the character arcs. I don't think anybody had a character arc. Yeah, I think that's the end with everything I wrote. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak. Yeah.
All right. No, thank you. People, he does have a YouTube channel. Do check him out. Okay. All right. Just last couple of people, and we did the summaries. Anything you did put your hand up after Vanessa. Please make it quick so we can do summaries.
So this is like a pushback. I think we were a little bit too harsh on this movie. First, I just think so. But I think most of the questions that people are asking about explanations about the movie, it's in the movie. It's said in the dialogue or shown in the something. I don't think they did it in a standard way. I think one of the things is that we're very used to kind of the standard way of story. But there's so multiple. The reason why this movie reminds me of Iliad and what
but wait,
let me push back.
we're at the pushback section. Like, pick a specific thing somebody
But
has
okay,
said.
okay. Number one, I will talk about the motivation for the characters have motivation. They do. Now, do you like the motivation or not? Is a different question. And we know the we know, okay, the reason why Ogundeji is scared of Latif Adeda's character, right? The reason is one, they said that he's the only one who has ever done the thing, put the thing through the hole, right? And before then, Botija has been getting praise from everybody. He's been doing things that make people know him and people give praise to him. Also, they've already told us that the Ogundeji is like a selfish, self-centered man that doesn't necessarily like people to overtake him. Botija doing that stuff has overtaken him, right? He has not overtaken him, but he has the possibility of overtaking him. Literally, the king next to him says, stop it before it becomes stronger, right? He's the only one that has done the thing that you've done, and they've already been giving him praise. So that's why he's doing that. Why is it like, okay, it's going to go through all the trials? We won't have a movie if he doesn't do that. It's the same thing about like mythology. Hera can easily kill Hercules, but she doesn't do that. He goes through his own trials of something. That's it. This movie is like watching a Shakespeare movie. Like, oh, why don't the people just die? Well, in Shakespeare, Hamlet tells does an whole entire like 3 fucking pages before he actually dies. Like, it happens. It's a different form, and therefore, in watching different forms of something, you have to look at it with different forms, use the rules of that genre and those things to necessarily judge it, right? Also, people were asking, the question was like, is this a different kingdom on it? So remember, this is supposed to be set in the 19th century with a sort of different type of moral or something in it, right? It's not set nowadays, and like, yeah, if you read all those olden stories, yeah, their morality is just very, very, very confusing to us nowadays. And I'm also the kind of person that believes that you don't have to have a good character to give you a lesson. I don't care that he's a good person. I don't think they tell us he's a good person. They don't necessarily tell us he's a good person. He has some heroic qualities, yes, but he does terrible things. Achilles does terrible things. Achilles kills his own child, his wife and child in the rage of raid, but he has heroic characters, right? What he's saying in the end, is it true or not true? It's true. Yeah. But yeah, Vanessa is right that it's a very typical thing that they've been doing now in Nollywood. Um, that doesn't mean that you should discard what the lesson is. The lesson can be given by an unlikable character. The same thing as the lesson. There's a lesson in like Godfather, but people don't realize that there's a lesson in Godfather. But all the people in Godfather, are they good people?
But that
No, they're
wasn't my
people. No.
point. My point isn't that it's delivered by a bad person. My point is that it's added, it's a tack on. That's how it's always
I know.
delivered in
No,
Nollywood.
let
It's
me
a
let me
tack
let me
on.
let me. I
It's on
get what
her.
you're saying. I get what
But
you're
there's the
saying.
fact
I'm
on,
not. I'm
and
not. I'm not.
let
I'm
me
not.
wait. Let
I'm
me
not
because
saying.
like
I
there's
remember. I
another
said that
aspect of
Vanessa is
the
right about attack
wait.
on,
I know.
but
Wait, hang on. Because you're doing the pushback, right? So like, let me fine tune what you're pushing back against, right? So like, there's the tactum bit which I kind of agree with to some degree.
I also agree that
But like the part of you can't put, especially if it's been preached out, right? Like you can't put the moral of the lesson to somebody who is being awful if it's antithetical to his
I
character.
think you can. You just
You,
you still
I mean, like, okay,
we
you
are
can, but like
I
nobody
think you
has to
can.
take
We are
nobody.
complicated people.
Wait, you can,
Like
but nobody gets.
we can
You
say
can
that it's a
wait,
bad character, but he's
wait,
saying the
wait, wait,
right
wait,
thing.
wait. Let me make my point. You can, but nobody will take it seriously, right?
Okay,
Like there
then
are
that's
reasons why. There are reasons why if a killer is like, hey, I don't think killing is good. You go, why are you killing? Right? There's an issue with the character delivering the message that we're taking, and that's the problem. Is that it's
yes, you can
hypocritical
have
and
an
it doesn't.
issue. I think
This is not like learning.
it's too. That's again. I'm saying like many stories, many things I've read, many something I've read. It happens that way. Why should only be
Not
the
in
good
good, not
character
in good,
saying the
not in good.
preaching?
It doesn't happen in good
I
and
get what
actually
you're
good media.
saying. I get what you're saying that people might not take it seriously, but okay, that's people not taking it seriously. They can interpret anything.
That's what we're
But like
saying. But that's what we're saying.
that
It's like
line,
it's not a
that's
message we can take seriously if you're putting
but
it if you're putting this message that seems antithetical to some of the actions the character has taken in his mouth. Especially like you can learn from somebody's bad actions, right? That's all right. Like like if somebody does a bad thing and he gets into trouble or like it doesn't work out, like you can go, oh, this is a reason why not to do this thing. Or you can learn if somebody does something and it's bad and he does something else and it turns out better, you can go, oh, look, this is what this is trying to say. But somebody cannot do something horrible and go, hey, yes, by the way, you should be good. You should do these good things. It's like,
but
okay,
I get what you're saying. I'm telling you I get what you're saying, but my thing is this. So what? You can still punish the person for the wrong thing
what's the,
that they
what's the
did
po-
and take
what's the
what they say
point?
is what
What's
they
the
say.
point of having the dialogue? In you
But
just
but
put it in
again, again,
anybody.
again,
You
but
can
again,
you can put it in anyone's. It's actually more effective
it's a
in
very
in
common
somebody
thing.
else's.
It's a very common
You
thing.
ask me a
For
question.
you to know what you did is wrong, sometimes people have to go and do the thing and then they realize it's wrong. Now,
You
but
have to
also
show. Okay,
I also want
but
to push back on
when
I
I
want to push
said,
back on one more thing that
I mean,
I
you
think
haven't closed this one.
let
You
me
haven't
just push
closed this
back
one.
on one more thing. Just one more thing. It is the idea that okay, the only reason where Botija then realizes what he's doing is wrong. Yes, he knows what he's doing is wrong. He has been having reality, but still goes through it, right? That's a more complex character than something. But the scene after they killed everybody in Ija in the Adejija village, I think I like it's so much. It's a lot of information in that movie. The scene, but the end of that, people are forgetting that there was literally the camera was going around the death and the blood body, and you could see the regret and sadness in his face. And then right after that, the scene of like Ajemo coming after him and him losing is something also put that into. So it's a combination of all those factors that pushes him to be like, okay, no, this is definitely this time I'm going to do something. Yes, does the fact that he lost his love also motivated him? Yes, but there was also, I think people are also ignoring that the scene that comes before that also shows him looking at the carnage that he has wrought with like, oh, why did I do this? This
I
doesn't something, and
okay,
then the
right.
next thing
So
happens. So I'm just going to push back against the idea. It's only because of this
because
girl dying.
either you didn't take this, or maybe because a lot of people have spoken, it's possible you've missed. It's like there are two things.
There was
Number
a lot of
wait
things
wait
that
wait
people
wait
said.
wait 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 wait. Number one is that Latif's character has already been shown to be a good person. Like he's already shown that he is somebody that apparently has integrity. From like he gets beaten to smithereens for not keeping his mouth shut about food, about like how little food they're sharing. Like it feels like he's speaking against corruption in that instant. That is the guy who you put that kills slaughters an entire village, right? And then after that, there's the part where you have an opportunity to show maybe some regret when I get more when Agemo comes to see him, he doesn't have any regret in him. He's actually asking, wait, what happened? What did I not? It almost feels like it's like, what did I not do?
I
Did I
see
not
that
finish my
too.
message?
I'm not
That's
getting it wrong. Like I get it. I saw that. I remember that part. I remember all that stuff. I do remember being beaten. That's why I said he has some heroic qualities. Just because somebody has heroic qualities does not mean they won't do something bad. Does not mean that they will still continue. For instance, again, I'll bring
Sorry,
out
but
what's
there's
it
a
called.
difference between making a
But it's
mistake
a common. I'm trying to say
and
that it's
doing
a
something
common
that
trope
murders
in
your
so.
entire family.
I get
okay.
It's a big
look
difference.
at first of
You
all,
will be
this
like,
is
it's fine, a
fiction,
man
right? This
murdered
is
someone else's uncle for
I'm not
fun. Like,
saying
it doesn't
okay,
make sense.
guys, I'm not saying I'm saying that in character and story. I'm not talking about real life, right? Even in real life, too, people do good things, and also they are also capable of doing bad things. So that's the way it is. Even in stories, in most stories, as we've done, Hamlet does bad things, and he has heroic qualities.
Like,
You're not supposed to. You're not
sorry.
supposed to. You're not supposed to
The
something take
excuse
over.
you're currently used now can be used to excuse anything. You might as
What
well
is,
not
I'm not
have you
excusing.
wait.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no,
I'm not
because you're
excusing.
saying people do
You're
good
hearing
things and people do
excuse.
bad things. Then
No,
you
no,
might
no.
as well. Nobody has to
You're
be a
hearing
coherent
excuse. Again,
character.
I'm not
You're,
excusing
the
people.
point is
That you
that
can do both things at the same
the point
time.
is that the character who talks about who speaks up for something as little as food should not be going to genocide another village. That's
Well,
the
well,
point.
why
It's
would you
like
like? I
saying
get that.
sometimes
I
people
get
do
that. I
good
get what you're
things
saying,
and
but
sometimes people
that
do
then
bad
becomes a
things.
very simple character. Then that means you just want an heroic character, which I get.
No, it's
But
just
like,
It's not
consistent. It's
inconsistent.
just
That's
it's not only
why.
consistent.
consistent. What again? What is it's also it's something that actually we've seen very much. What um the gods don't lie is based on Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Oedipus adds an heroic character, and his heroic something leads into flaw. It's something that is very typical in stories. I'm just saying the idea that okay, just because this person is an heroic character, I'm not saying that all stories have this, and this is not an excuse. This admit that he's a bad person, does bad things, right? I'm admitting that he does bad things, and I do think that um you should say that he does bad things. I'm not excusing is something, but I'm saying what he's saying at the end is true. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going for his character, whether it should be an heroic character. And
That's
again, we
yeah.
say we
Okay.
want complex
All
character,
right.
but
Okay.
complex
Yeah. That's
character
not
means
complex
people have
character. Just
heroic
to say.
characters,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah, yeah.
also
I
flawed.
understand what you're saying, but like I think we're just until you think it's a complex character. I think what we're saying is just a
Um,
poorly
um,
written character, and that's why
but
I
but
said like
but
you can
but is it a
excuse
purely written
anything by
character or is
saying
it a
that
complex
sometimes
character?
people
It
do good
depends.
things and sometimes people do bad things. It's like
It's
that's
not.
not.
It's not.
It's
Again, I think
neither
you're
only
getting me wrong. I'm
poorly
saying he has
written and he's
heroic.
not a complex
He has
character.
heroic qualities, but it's not. That's not his only quality
Incomes,
for a
I think we just
character.
disagree. I'm saying you're not following, and like you keep on doing this. Like what I'm saying is that the person who we've seen should not do the
But when
genocide.
you say
That's what
should
I'm
not,
saying.
but that's the thing. They
I,
could, they do, and many stories around the world have people who have heroic characters do bad things.
right. So okay.
That
So
is
So
not
it's
let's
a
true,
very
though.
typical thing. It's
Oinka,
and that's
it
what
is not a
I'm
typical
saying.
all
thing.
right. Okay.
It's a very
Thank you.
They
typical
make
thing. I can think
mistakes.
of
Okay.
many very
It's not.
okay. Jack and the
They're usually not
Beanstalk,
cut out for
Oedipus
mistakes.
Rex, um,
Jack and
Jack
Hercules,
and the
Beanstalk did
Victor.
a
Beanstalk.
did a
It's very
genocide.
typical. Even
Or
even
you can
even
tell
the
are you talking
Godfather, the
seriously?
characters are also they have some things that they do heroically. Like the guy stop with the guy beats up with forces the guy to marry to hold up his responsibility. There's a
All right.
reason why the people are liked in the community, but they're also evil.
Okay.
That
All
is
right.
that
Thanks.
is that is very
There's no
typical.
single one
All
of
right.
those characters
Yeah.
that are evil. They
Okay, but
all
Yeah.
like
made mistakes, but they
that's
weren't
what I
evil. They
okay.
did not wipe out an entire
All
town
right.
after their own town had been wiped out. Inca. It doesn't make sense.
I'm
There's
not
nothing you
saying
can
I'm
say. It
not
doesn't
saying
make
again.
sense.
You're telling me that I'm saying that the guy is good. I'm not saying the guy
No.
is good.
No.
I'm
No.
saying the
No.
guy
We're
is
No. No.
saying
No,
evil.
you're
he's
He
saying
not
that
wipes
he
No.
out
No.
an
That's what
doesn't.
entire
I'm
We're
town.
saying.
saying he doesn't.
He
And I
All
will
made
right.
a
give a that
consciously
like
bad
guys.
decision, knowing the
All right.
repercussions.
Okay. All right. I think I've met everyone. Okay. It's just because like I can't hear as many. I can't hear people. I think Oingas is just saying he's complex, and we're just saying he's inconsistent. That's where the disagreement is. I guess like if you think the guy who did that, it makes sense for his character to do a genocide. That's perfectly up to your interpretation. That's fine. All right. Okay. Let's move on to a couple of people, and then we need to get out of here. All right. Best African actor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. C. Oyinko, I'm sorry to say this, Botija is a fraud. Is a very big fraud, and there is nothing heroic about this guy. Well, maybe a couple of things, but to me, there's nothing heroic about this guy. He's a big fraud, and I'll tell you why. I believe everything he did is for selfish reasons. Guy, you went to murder a whole village while they were celebrating, and then you were coming back. Someone tried to attack you. You killed the person and found out that this person is your girlfriend, and that is what now makes you a good person. You're now preaching to us, bro. Shut up. He's a fraud. Look at what he did during the festival. He threw a spear into a couple of rings. Did you know that he used charm for that? It was not real. If you watch it closely, he used charm. He spoke to that spear with his eyes, and that was why that thing was going down before. He used charm to speak to it. That was why that thing went through the hole. He's a fraud. There were many fight scenes where they showed this guy. This guy is not even a good fighter. There was nothing special about him. He's not even a good fighter. I would have loved if what Adamson Ibrahim, this guy that was showing throwing spear and jumping up and down, I would have loved if what he did was done by him. There should be something to show that you are special. There is nothing that shows that he is special as a character that we should be that we should be rooting for. He did not even do anything special. Even the food that he was fighting for, I could tell he was not happy about the food, and he spoke up because why? The food was not going to be enough for him himself. So there's just nothing special about this guy, and he's a very big fraud. And then you're saying good people also do bad things sometimes. This one did not do bad things sometimes. This one did bad things consistently. You went to murder a whole village. You threw a spear through a hole, and everybody was clapping for you. And you knew that you didn't do this thing by your powers. You use special powers for this thing. That's being fraudulent. So I trust, believe me, I don't think there's anything to clap for this guy about. There's nothing. Okay. Let me cite Troy as an example. I don't know if you guys have seen Troy. They were on the battlefield. I've forgotten this guy. I think Achilles or something. He was fighting, and then one of the kings too, that employed him was also fighting. And this guy, and Achilles was winning. He was beating a lot of people, taking charge, and then people began to sing his praise. And that was enough motivation for this guy. It was like a pure, typical David and Goliath story. People were singing Achilles' praise, and that was enough to anger King Agmemon. I think his name was Agmemon or something. You could have had something like this. You could have fought side by side with this Femi Adebayo, and then let us see him fight. I did not see him do anything special with the sword or with the spear or anything. Even when he was put in a ring with Bogumi, that guy beat him mercilessly, and I could tell you that that guy intentionally gave up his life for him. He did not win that fight because he was a good fighter. That guy gave up his life for him. This guy is a typical fraud. There is nothing special about it.
All right. Thanks, Best African Actor. And I think Omodudu is man. Omodudu, did you want to say something?
Okay, someone said something. There was a comment. I think I've seen a few comments about me listening now. This is Netflix film. They could do better with the writing, please. I don't know. Maybe you think the audience, maybe you think your audience are stupid, kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not insulting anyone, but if you are making a movie and you are feeding, maybe what you are feeding your audience on YouTube, you know that anything you throw at them, they will take it. And you come to Netflix where you think people in other countries would see it. I think you should try and do better. I know it's just starting for epic Yoruba movies now. They are just beginning to gain to being uploaded by everyone, and the Netflix is coming to them, Amazon Prime is coming to them, and all that. So we need to do better. We don't say because you want to convert a YouTube audience, you want to bring in YouTube audience into Netflix, then you start dishing out what doesn't make enough sense. Because as much as I'm happy for them, I'm glad that people love this movie. I'm glad that people are not like, because we saw something like Cheap Daddy last year, and everybody was just complaining, even both critic and average movie watchers, kind of. But this is a movie that I'm glad people love it. But we can do better because we are not the only one watching now. I don't think I think I saw someone post the is it IMDb review, and it didn't even score up to like 4. I think it was 3.9/10. And I'm like, this is still not. We can't be saying every time this is something. This is a beginning. This is a start. We are going there someday. We've been going there all the time. I beg. It's time you know as a writer that your characters cannot be passive. We can do better. And don't be saying this is Netflix doesn't like good movies. Netflix doesn't do the. Please stop giving excuses. We can do better. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Omodudu. And Wayne's rant finally, and then we do summaries. Oh, lost him. Okay. All right. Let's do summaries. Vanessa.
Oh, it's me. Okay, I'm here. I'm cuckoo here because I'm tired. Last. Great gowns, beautiful set pieces, beautiful locations. I guess I liked some of the cinematography, not the entire bit of it. But yeah, story wise, Odo Logba, they collected big Odo in my hand. 0/10. 0/10 for character development, 0/10 for relationships. A lot of it felt very contrived and unearned. But I guess it was an entertaining watch. There were a couple performances that were great, that were all right. Yeah, so I'm not being go tell you what you go do. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, don't.
All right. Thanks, Vanessa. Our Jagun Jagun when it comes. Nollywood Film Club's Jagun Jagun.
I'm not fighting for something. Yeah, I'm not fighting wars here. Before people think I am in favor of genocide, I am not. Okay. I just want to put that there. The movie is okay. The movie is good, and it's an epic fantasy movie. I guess it's okay. Like, what am I? I don't think the movie is that bad. I think the movie most of the kind of some the movie answers it. Now you can dislike it or you cannot, or you don't think it works well for you. That's okay too. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you should like the movie. I don't force my opinion or my something on anyone. That's why I always say movies ultimately are for entertainment. If you want to relax, you want to enjoy, play a movie. I say sometimes give it 20 minutes. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Change it. Change it to another movie. Life is too short. Well, just change it to something that you enjoy. It's that simple. Bye. That's it. That's my end.
All right, thanks, Ankans. All right, Timmy, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah. So I really like. I don't even know if I'll put the word really. Mr. C.
I'm very intrigued to hear your summary too.
Mr. C. Your microphone. Okay, thank you. But yeah, I would say I really liked using the word really there feels wrong. But to be honest, when I finished this film, I finished it in high aspirations. And to be very honest, I blame that. I'll not say blame, but I would say it's completely Adedimeji Latif's fault. If you take him out of this film, I feel like this film would have fallen flat because, like I said, he just makes it so easy for you to want to root for him, for you to. He's just that good, I guess. But yeah, coming to this space, I feel like the film is with everything everyone has said. I think my opinion about the film is quite different now. But at the end of the day, I would say I liked it because it was enjoyable. But when you start looking at it deeper, it just ends up being a bad film. So yeah.
All right. Thanks to me. Things do change here, and Nollywood Film Club is fine to change your mind for better or for worse. I think it's is it a task? Yeah.
Yeah, Snape is the subject. Um, can you mute yourself, Mr. C? Okay. So I thought it was okay. Like, I'm not honestly particularly aggrieved by it. I just thought there were some easy layups there that were spectacularly missed. It does fine as a fantasy Nollywood movie. I wouldn't necessarily watch it again. I do think some of the VFX was egregious. Like, it's Mount Zion stuff. Some of it was very much Mount Zion stuff, and I didn't even think that's something we are necessarily getting better at. Like, we're definitely already better than what was in that movie, VFX wise. Um, all in all, the story, like the premise, was good. I like the premise. I hate the plot. I hate the execution. I hate most of the acting. I think this is Latif's weakest movie in a while, at least outside all the Aguero ones. But that's it.
All right. Thanks, Atas. Best African actor, please.
Yeah. So I love this film. I love this film so much, and I don't think there's anything that would make me not recommend this film. This is a very good film. It's a very great film, but I stand by my words that Botija is a fraud. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thanks. Am I noisy on my end? Could someone let me know? Is it crazy bad on my
Yeah.
end? Is it?
No.
Oh,
Well, it was not
God.
anymore.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Best African Actor. I really do like people who can who both like the film and still able to say yes, these things I don't think were great. That's great. That's good. Rotimi, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, I just want to ask that is it possible we can have like a spin-off that we go to the history of Adimeji's village as part? Are they wood benders? Would they be technically wood benders since they can control wood? That would be interesting to watch, like how people control wood, and if there are other people that can control other elements, maybe I'm giving them ideas for the next epic. But overall, it's just entertainment. You people are the most, like, you are the most regular Nollywood customers. I don't know what Nollywood will do to that, you guys. And I'm not being sarcastic here. I'm actually very serious. Like, you guys are the real heroes because you watch these movies week in, week out and everything, even if you have issues with them. So you're actually the paying customer that subscribes to Netflix, Amazon, and watch all these movies. So yeah, if you guys, everybody should actually acknowledge you guys' own opinions. But I always recognize that people are just making their own business. They're getting paid and they'll keep putting out content as long as money comes out. But it's good. We're moving somewhere. Somehow along, one day, hopefully soon, one day we'll get it right where both people are critics and audiences, everybody will agree, and even the filmmakers will make money and we like this product, everybody, and we'll be like proud to say that, okay, this is a Nigerian film anyway. But while it's still, we encourage everybody, what everybody's doing, everybody's trying their best.
All right, thanks for it to me. I appreciate. I'm just going to read Orange had some pushback that it says Wotija's skills he gained at the camp are showcased. His stream magic is just a perk. Saying his training was meaningless is unfair. Okay, I mean, I leave that to the audience because I feel like everything that got him through anything was his ability to speak to it, whether it be how he defeated came out of the coffin, threw his spear through the hoops. Even this babe that came for him, when his babe came for him, all three stuff. I mean, like, yeah, I didn't see like how he was before with a sword and shield and how he grew. I have no way of seeing how he got better. So yes, and honestly, the training at what do you call it, the warrior camp, warrior school it was very bad. And he said Gotija's query of Agemo is out of anger and confusion. It's more sarcastic than sincere. To him, it was aggravating that he was still going to be punished by his boss for carrying out unspeakable evil in his name. You see, this I don't mind this as pushback, and like if that's if that's the way you read it, I think that's a very much plausible read of that situation. I would just say that that the fact that I got a different interpretation is probably is a failure for where they could have made things more clear. Like it would have been very easy to have written that scene where it seemed that Lateef was actually feeling guilty about what was happening. You don't give me nuance in a scene where Lateef is going to moments preach to everybody and look straight down to the camera. This is not time for nuance. You're not going to give me nuance where, interpret what his character is saying at this point where, make your filmmaking coherent. So, yes, I think it's, I'm saying it's fine for you to have seen that. I didn't see that. And I think it's a failure of the filmmaking as it was in several other places to have just made it clear. All right. Who else do we have? Is that everyone? Mr. C, do you want to tell us your overall summary?
My overall summary is the story was all over the place, and my biggest thing typically is story. If the story is good and it moves well, I can forgive most things. So story took me out, and our guys twitching took me out. So I really did not enjoy this one. Still might recommend because people seem to enjoy it, and I'd recommend with the caveat that I found it messy.
Okay, for me it's relatively simple. Don't like this. It's just a headache. In terms of following it, and I think there's a lot of bad filmmaking in it.
as well. I think that a lot of actors in here have charisma, and that's what is carrying, and that's what is carrying the film for the most part. And I use charisma as opposed to like have pulled off the acting in this. And I don't. Omadudi, keep on putting your hand up. Have you not already said your summary?
I've not seen myself.
You've not said your summary.
Yeah.
I thought I got away with it. All right, just give me a second. Let me finish my one, and you do yours. All right, okay. And yeah. So I didn't think the way the information is relayed is just it's not my favorite. It's just a breakdown. It's so difficult to get into, and I'm saying probably, especially for a non-Yoruba speaking person, probably. I haven't seen, maybe if there are Yoruba people who are just really into it as well, but just because of the way the proverbs didn't hit for me. So yeah, I don't do recommend. I just do a summary of my opinions. Do with that what you will. Okay, Ahmad, what's your summary?
When I saw the trailer of the movie, I knew it was going to be seeing many people, and the trailer was not, the trailer was about action, and it would be anyone watching that, and I'm thinking, I will say this movie would be anyway, because I could survive the movie from start to end because I saw it, and I, but again, I asked myself, why don't I like this movie? Why don't I, care much about it? I realized I didn't care much about the characters at all. I didn't care about them. So I would give them a pass because, Femi Adebayo is just transitioning from the normal Yoruba, local Yoruba movie making into Netflix and kind of for these platforms and cinema. So I would give them a pass, and I would. I know the type of people I would recommend this movie for. So I wouldn't recommend it to people who who care deeply about filmmaking. So it's okay. I would recommend it to some people, not everyone. Actually, that's what I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next week on Nollywood Film Club, we have a Trino project. The one for Sarah. The one for Sarah, is that what it's called? Yes, that's with Beverly Naya, Uzarikwe, Buchi Franklin, and somebody else that I'm forgetting. Oh, Daniel.
Daniel.
Did you see that? Oh wow. Yes.
Hey.
What?
Let's do another movie. Not that movie.
We have said what we're doing.
Okay, please. Not that movie. Let's do a better movie, I beg.
Please live here. That's the movie we're doing. My Queen is Inside. Okay. But yeah, that's the movie we're going to be discussing. And it's a Trino project. I'm hoping for interesting things to happen. Yes.
Mr. C, when are we going to do this Tony Abrams film now?
Wow. I'm thinking 2028. So remind me again in the year 2028. All right. And but yes, if not something. All right. But thanks guys. I know this was a long one. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out. We'll speak to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye y'all.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.